Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Friday, 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 Friday.
Fire Friday.
Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday. Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday.
Fire Friday. Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Friday, 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 Friday.
Fire Friday.
Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday. Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday.
Fire Friday. Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Friday, 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 Friday.
Fire Friday.
Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday. Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday.
Fire Friday. Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, and back. Friday, 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 Friday.
Fire Friday.
Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday. Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white and
Join
black.
us
Friday, and
at 6:30, but he is in a meeting with our leader as we speak, so I know that he's up and we have him on the line. Yes, so we're gonna start straight off with the pepper mouth. Barry. Hello. I
Hello,
don't-
good evening.
Yes.
Marsha,
Yes,
and to all
Barry.
listeners on Radio 97.5.
So we start and hot. You know, do you know that that the multicultural radio, it's the tagline is hot like pepper?
Well, how very appropriate for
How
me to be on your
very
station this
appropriate.
evening then.
Yes.
I feel very welcomed.
Yes. This radio station was made for you.
That's good to know.
All right, Barry. We have plenty to cover, and I know that you guys are meeting because that is UNC. You guys work till late on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is UNC. That is the opposition. We work constantly. You know, our political leader, I saw Senator Sobers say, you know, she always has us in work mode. We do not stop. We do not stop. We do not stop. So we want to jump right into it. You are the shadow for public utilities. And I know that TSTT, WASA, everything is just in a mess right now. I mean, I saw that joint select committee. That is just absolutely ridiculous. Talk to us, Barry. Set the record straight for us.
Certainly. Thank you for the opportunity to set the record straight as it relates to putting into the hearts and the minds of the people of Trinidad and Tobago the truth as it relates to the public utilities sector in Trinidad and Tobago. In the lead up to the 2020 general election and during the period 2015 to 2020, we in the opposition, through Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa, our spokespersons, our senators, our MPs, we have been very clear about what our position is with respect to the public utility sector. But we have also been championing the concerns of the employees, the company itself in terms of the financial management. But what we have also been doing is we've been exposing the government and the hypocrisy of the government in terms of their attempts to privatize TSTT, WASA, and T&TEC with an effort to send thousands of employees on the breadline while selling out the assets and the patrimony of Trinidad and Tobago to the French financiers and Paris from the PNM, who is now Mr. Farmer Brown himself, moving from Mr. Pocket Square to Mr. Farmer Brown. But those are some of the burning issues that are confronting the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Sadly, in 2020, many of them who are employed in the public utility sector, where, be it WASA, T&TEC, or TSCT, many of them are now feeling the brunt of their actions. You know, Deputy Political Leader Jolene John always tells us, elections have consequences.
Yes.
And many of these persons who are facing the breadline today, who are in a very impoverished and sad situation in terms of facing the acts at these state enterprises and these state companies, these utility companies, it's really a sad state of affairs for them. But also what we are seeing happening, this is a carefully carried out plan by this Rowley administration between the period 2015 to 2022, where we are today. Because what they have been doing is that they have been running these state companies into the ground. They have been starving them from funding. They have not engaged in meaningful restructuring of the company. They have not addressed any of the woes of the company in terms of the financial mismanagement, the waste and corruption that is happening at these state enterprises as they had promised between the period 2015 to 2022. Instead, what we are seeing happening is a deliberate, and I want to emphasize on that word, deliberate attempt by this administration to drive these three companies into the ground so that they will set the stage for privatization. And that is what you are seeing happening across the board right now. And who are the ones to face the brunt and face the pain and the turmoil by losing their jobs, Marsha? Who are the ones whose children are going to sleep hungry? It is the employees of these companies. When you can have a TSTT for $500 million not being accounted for in 2018, being registered on the books as losses at TSTT, and then the employees have to pay for that. When you have billions of dollars outstanding between NGC and T&TEC, $5 billion to be precise. Who are the ones who are suffering and paying for that? It is not the big boys that made those decisions who sit in the cabinet with their fancy ties and jackets. It's the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it's the employees of these companies who are facing the brunt of those decisions that brought about the mismanagement of these companies. So that's where we are as of today. I know you would like to go into some of the specifics, so I await your questions.
Well, so I want to speak firstly about this $5 billion loan, right? Yes. I mean, well, two things. I'm seeing someone is saying that that loan is there over 10 years now, which of course is pointing to the People's Partnership. And I know the person, they tend to jump on all the time to push PNM propaganda. So let's talk about that loan.
Okay, Marsha, first of all, it is not a loan, it is a debt. And for those PNM propagandists who are outside there, who like to push this narrative, let me set the record straight with respect to the relationship between T&TEC, NGC, and the state.
Right.
Right now, T&TEC is bankrupt. The Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Company is a bankrupt company. It owes NGC $5 billion. And if there was any doubt of that, the Prime Minister's interview on Sunday Express told us explicitly that Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Company owes NGC $5 billion. But let us figure out how they owe this $5 billion and when did that $5 billion accumulate. That $5 billion accumulated because NGC provides natural gas to T&TEC for the production of electricity in Trinidad and Tobago. And NGC, being the provider of natural gas to T&TEC, T&TEC has to pay NGC for that natural gas. So when you hear Marvin Gonzalez, Pete Rowley, and that band of merry men in the cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago tell you that they have nothing to do with the RIC increasing the rates of electricity in that company, it is hogwash. I don't know if I'm permitted to say this, but I'll still say that it's bullshit for them to come out and say that they have no responsibility in that. What happens is the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, through the Subcommittee of Energy of Cabinet, they are the ones who set the price. So therefore, Cabinet ministers, Minister of Energy, the Prime Minister, etc., will sit on a Subcommittee of Energy of Cabinet, and they will determine the price that NGC will sell natural gas to T&TEC for. So therefore, they cannot say that they are not involved in terms of the price hike that the RIC will pass on to consumers for the provision of electricity in our country. They are the ones who are setting the price for natural gas to be sold to T&TEC when T&TEC buys the natural gas from NGC for the production of electricity in the country.
Right.
And therefore, over the last 6 to 7 years, under People's National Movement Administration, T&TEC has accumulated a $5 billion debt to NGC. And they have not been able to pay for that natural gas that has been provided over the past 6 to 7 years by NGC to T&TEC. Now, you might ask the question, well, how about this $5 billion loan that NGC got from the government to write off that $5 billion debt between T&TEC and NGC? When I raised this question about the pricing that was set by the Energy Subcommittee, because the Energy Subcommittee has to pass on that information to NGC when they set the price of natural gas, and I asked whether or not the state removed the subsidy when they were setting the price of natural gas that NGC will sell to T&TEC. Up to now, Minister Stuart Young, who is usually the Minister of Everything, who is now turned out to be the Minister of Nothing, could find himself in Qatar to be the Prime Minister's caddy, but up to now has not, despite a 12-hour blackout in this country, has not been able to tell this country whether or not the Cabinet has removed the subsidy that NGC enjoys in terms of the payment that will be made from T&TEC to NGC. Is it at a subsidized cost? The Cabinet has never answered that question. Instead, they have gone ahead, they have set the price that NGC will sell its natural gas to T&TEC, and then it will be passed on to the consumer. So when there's a $5 billion debt between T&TEC and NGC, and I raised this question in the public domain, Minister Colm Imbert came out a few days later, and he indicated in the Parliament, which I thought to be passing strange, for the government to come out and say, well, listen, because of that debt between T&TEC, the money that T&TEC owes to NGC, the government had to take a $5 billion loan and inject it into NGC so it can be reflected on the books of NGC as it relates to the debt between T&TEC and NGC. So I asked, I said, well, if the government is injecting $5 billion through a loan that they have taken into NGC, is it then that the government, through NGC, is writing off the debt that T&TEC has to NGC? They said, no, that is not the case. It was only to be reflected on the books of NGC. So essentially what is happening there is that they injected that $5 billion that they took a loan for to be reflected on the books of NGC to show that NGC is not insolvent, NGC is not in debt, NGC is not in financial problems. I want to remind the country, this is the same NGC that through Mark Loquan and others that invested $500 million of taxpayers' money into a project that went down the drain. $500 million because of two people. Stuart Young, who was appointed as Minister of Energy by Keith Rowley, and Mark Loquan, who was appointed by the Cabinet as the President of NGC. And I also want to say this, had it not been for Kamla Prasad-Bissessar single-handedly, you know, everybody likes to pass blame and wash them out, as we say in local parlance, on Kamla Prasad-Bissessar. But had it not been for Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, this country would have been none the wiser with respect to what was taking place with NGC and those arrangements as it relates to the investment, the wastage, and the hypocrisy of this government in terms of speaking about bad investments. They invested $500 million that saw no fruition.
Yeah.
That simply just went down the drain. And that was against the backdrop of injecting $5 billion through a loan agreement into NGC because of the debt that T&TEC and NGC had. But then tells us that this does not write off the debt between T&TEC and NGC. So what was happening is that on the books at T&TEC remains bankrupt as it is today, as of today's date, because of that $5 billion that it owes to NGC. And further, NGC, it seems, through the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy and others, are cooking the books at NGC to reflect a $5 billion that does not exist in terms of a payment made from T&TEC to NGC. So really it is remarkable, it is startling, it is frightening to even fathom what sort of mathematics or what sort of economics Trinidad and Tobago is practicing in terms of proper financial accounting in our republic. So that is what the state of play with respect to what is happening at T&TEC. And that explains the $5 billion debt that T&TEC has to NGC, but it also explains in terms of what they did with the money that the cabinet took that was injected into NGC. Up to now, we have not gotten any clear answers with respect to that loan. What are the arrangements for those loans? Where the loan was taken from? What were the terms and conditions? So really, the energy sector, in terms of its contribution to power production in this country, leaves more questions than answers. And you would recall when we had the massive blackout, the outage that took place just a few weeks ago, we continue to grope in the dark because there are no answers that have been forthcoming on this issue. Yeah. And the government, have been blocking every step. We have said in the opposition, and we have made it very clear, we have no faith in any three-man committee that the Prime Minister appointed. When this matter first arose, I called as the Shadow Minister of Public Utilities for an interagency task force to be set up. Marsha, in any civilized world, you would know that the best approach would be to bring everybody to the table because there are several stakeholders who are involved. It is not only T&TEC it is involved, it's NGC that's involved. It is TGU, it's PowerGen, it's the power producing companies. So there are several players that were involved in terms of the blackout that occurred. And the best thing to have done was to have brought all the players to the table in the immediate future and say, well, okay, you're all at the table here. We want to know what was your role, what was your role, what was your role. And therefore, you are answerable and accountable to the people of Trinidad and Tobago with full transparency. So assemble a three-man team who, two of them are beholden to government because they have sat in previous boards appointed by a People's National Movement government headed by Prime Minister Rowley. What faith can the stakeholders and the people of Trinidad and Tobago have in that committee to know that they are acting on behalf of the welfare of the country and not on the welfare of themselves?
Yeah.
So that is why we have called continuously for a commission of inquiry and also an interagency task force to be set up with respect to this blackout. The government is intent on hiding what really occurred on the day of the blackout, but it seems that Colm Imbert knew a lot more than we did because he was busy at 5 o'clock buying a generator in Price Mart. And when I called them out on it, up to today, they are shameless, they are unscrupulous because they continue to advance their own self-interest instead of the interest of people of Trinidad and Tobago. What about the babies, the newborn babies? What about the elderly people, the people who are in ventilators, the people who are in ICU hospitals, who are at risk because of the fact that this country went without power for 12 hours? But Colm Imbert was busy buying a generator in Price Mart. That tells you where the mind of the government is, where the heart of the government is, and that is with themselves, their friends, their financiers, and their families. If you would allow me very quickly, Marsha, I would like to raise the issue of WASA.
Well, I have it. I do have it on my list, so I'm very happy that you're going to talk about it before you leave because I know you have to run back into the meeting. So, yes, please talk about WASA and the Salgot.
Certainly. The Prime Minister, a few weeks ago, you would recall, he went up to Laventille at a public meeting. It was on a Saturday afternoon, and the Prime Minister indicated to the entire national community that the financial challenges, the woes at WASA was because of the Salcott arrangement. And he attributed that Salcott arrangement to two administrations. The administration of former Prime Minister Pastor Pandey and former Prime Minister, now leader of the opposition, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Pisesa. But you know, Marsha, Mr. Manning used to tell us facts are a very stubborn thing. And when I heard the Prime Minister Rowley, accusing Mrs. Persad-Pisesa, Mr. Pandey, of all manners of evil with respect to the Salcott, I went back to some cabinet notes that found its way into my mailbox. Because you see, facts are a stubborn thing, and when you have documents, you can stand from a very strong position and a very convicted position and tell the country exactly what the truth is. And yesterday, Joint Select Committee, we were able to get WASA to admit that in 2002 and also in 2009, despite the PNM political appointees that they have placed at WASA who tried to play games with us at that Joint Select Committee yesterday, it was like pulling teeth. But the truth and the facts came out in 2002 and in 2009, the Salcott was mandated by a PNM administration. Who was our Prime Minister in our government in 2002? Patrick Manning and the PNM. Who was our Prime Minister and our cabinet in 2009? It was Patrick Manning and the PNM. But I want to remind the country, it was Keith Rowley, Colm Imbert, and Camille Robinson-Regis that sat down in the 2002 decision, and not a damn dog barked when Prime Minister Manning made the decision to take the Salcott water out of the commercial grid and put it into the domestic grid. When Mr. Pandey first brought the Salcott into Trinidad, it was because of the socio-economic conditions in central Trinidad. You would recall a lady called Hulsi Bagan who shut down the entire highway, and David rather sang an infamous song about her shutting down the highway because central Trinidad had no water for weeks and months. And it was because of those challenges that Mr. Pandey, when he came into government in 95, he realized, well, listen, water from the Caroni water treatment plant was being taken off the grid and being sent to the Point Lisas industrial estate, thereby depriving the citizens of central Trinidad, Cuba South, Cuba North, Caroni Central, Caroni East, Chaguanas West, Pointe-a-Pierre. All of those constituencies were being deprived of pipe-borne water because the water was being redirected to the Point Lisas industrial estate. Mr. Pandey, in his vision and his wisdom, with Minister Ganga Singh, Minister Kamla Prasad, the decided, okay, we'll bring in the Salcott, but the Salcott would only provide water to the industrial estate at commercial prices. That was the arrangement in the black and white cabinet notes when the Salcott came into Trinidad under Pandey government. It was never to provide water on the domestic grid. It was only to provide water to the industrial estate, and they made it abundantly clear because the water review improvement rates, the legislation is there in the parliament. If you go back and you look at it, the Pandey administration with Ministers Ganga Singh and Kamla Prasad Bisesa and others made it abundantly clear that this was only for commercial use. And you know what was the good thing about it, Marsha? It was the arrangement of the Pandey administration was that the Salcott will charge $8 per cubic meter of water it produces, and $4 will go to the Salcott as payment with respect to a cubic meter of water, and $4 will go to WASA. So WASA was now making a profit, an operating profit, because $4 out of that $8 of per cubic meter of water that was being paid for by the industrial estate was going to WASA. So therefore WASA was now making a profit. In 2002, with Minister Keith Rowley, Minister Colm Imbert, and Mr. Camille Robinson-Regis, Prime Minister Manning, and coming into government, decided that he will take water out of the Salcott and put it on the domestic grid. But the rates will be at commercial rates, but WASA will absorb that cost. So therefore, WASA then now had to pay $8 per cubic meter of water because they were paying industrial rates that were now being placed on the domestic grid. And that is what occurred between the period 2002 and 2009. In 2009, the second time water was taken out of the Salcott to be placed onto the domestic grid in terms of an increase was again a People's National Movement administration. And we have the cabinet notes. So the Prime Minister can lie as much as he wants because it is a pathological pattern with him when his back is against the wall to demonize the UNC. That has been their mantra. That has been their modus operandi for the past 7 to 8 years, and they have not stopped the campaigning. They have not stopped demonizing Kamla Prasad Bisesa. They have not stopped demonizing any one of us. But I've said time and time again, I am not afraid of them. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is not afraid of them. You are not afraid of him because you went up against the man, and you know the type of individual that he is. So in 2009, when they brought water from the Salcott for the second time at commercial rates to be placed on the domestic grid, it was a contract that was signed in January of 2010 before Mrs. Prasad Bisesa went into government. And when Mrs. Prasad Bisesa went into government, she was bound by that contract that they signed. But you know what Mrs. Prasad Bisesa did, Marsha? She said, you know what, the Salcott, I know I can't get out of it, but let us renegotiate the terms and conditions because it is ridiculous. What the PNM administration did was that they signed us up to 2034 to pay these ridiculous rates. Then they had an escalating rate in the contract that they signed in 2010, January of 2010, before Mrs. Prasad-Biswas' administration. But the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, he seems as though he has selective memory. Because when you look at the contract, Marsha, there's a clause that is called an escalating clause, which means that the SALCOT can charge you $1 per cubic meter of water today, and tomorrow they come back to the table and they tell you that same $1 is charging you per cubic meter of water is now $100. And that was the sort of nonsense and ridiculous terms and conditions that a PNM administration signed us up to till 2034. So when Rowley goes in Laventille and he says that it was Mrs. Prasad-Biswas' administration that signed us up to 2036, it was 2036 because we renegotiated terms and conditions out of a contract we could not get out of, which they signed us up to in January of 2010. But you see, as I said before, Mr. Manning used to tell us facts are stubborn thing, and Rowley will have us believe this hogwash and this foolishness that the SALCOT problems is what is attributing the challenges at WASA. But he will not tell us that the woes at WASA has to do with the ballooning. When Mr. Pandey became Prime Minister, WASA had 1,200 employees. By the time Mrs. Prasad-Biswas became Prime Minister, WASA had 5,000 employees. Tell us, how did Camille Robinson Ricci's husband get a senior managerial position at WASA? When the PNM was feeding at the trough, when there were duplication of positions at WASA, what did they do to solve those challenges? What did they do to solve the challenges of the aging infrastructure, the massive leakages, the thousands of leakages, the rotting mains in this country? You know, I noticed that they are now saying that they're bringing modulated water treatment plants to the country and that we can expect those things soon. And they behave as though that is the panacea to the problem. But that addresses, in the short, very limited measure, the issue of production. But the problem in Trinidad and Tobago, half of the problem is distribution. When you have aging infrastructure, when you have pipelines that have been there for 80 and 90 years old, that is corroded, that has thousands of leakages among them. Yesterday at the Joint Select Committee, WASA officials told us that 50% of the water that they send through the pipelines is lost. 50% is lost because of the leakages and the poor infrastructure. And when you ask Marvin Gonzalez and Pete Rowley what they have done in the 7 years, they can't answer you one question. You can't tell me they spent one full term in office and then comes to tell you that they now know what the problems of WASA is. So what have you been sitting down doing for the past 5 years? And that is the hypocrisy and the nonsense. And usually I'll tell you this, Marsha, if you looked at my disposition yesterday, I'm usually very calm and collected, contrary to popular opinion as it relates to the Parliament. But usually in a Joint Select Committee, when you're dealing with public servants, I understand the challenges that public servants face. They are not politicians. But you see, when public servants come and they put on their politician's hat in a Joint Select Committee and bat for the PNM and behave as though all the problems in this country only occurred during between 2010 to 2015, and they will not tell the population the truth that the SALCOT problems arose because of the contracts that were signed by a PNM administration in 2002 and in January of 2010. I will call them out for it. I am tired. Listen, this country has a lot of hypocrites and people who practice double standards. And it ranges from the media to civil society, because if that was happening in this country today, and Mrs. Prasad-Biswas was Prime Minister, fixing T&TEC was already outside Mrs. Prasad-Biswas' private residence. Where are they today? You cannot hear any single voice from civil society, and that is the level of double standards and hypocrisy I, for one, am not going to stand for. And therefore, I will call them out, whether they come to a Joint Select Committee, whether it's on your radio station. Thank you for the opportunity very much, I must add.
Our political leader said it, right?
On a platform.
Yeah, our political leader said it, Barry. If you join the political guile, then we will deal with you as such.
Exactly.
You don't want to be dealt with at that level, then stay out of it.
Exactly so. And Marsha, allow me to give really kudos to Mrs. Prasad-Biswas on three main issues. And I want you, Trinidad and Tobago, to ask yourselves this. We often hear complaints that you're not here in the opposition. Where's Mrs. Prasad-Biswas? This, that, and the other. But would this country have known three major PNM scandals that the media, the civil society, those who are the validating elites in this country have not a word to say about, was brought out and into the public domain by Mrs. Prasad-Biswas? And if she did not do that, this country would not have known. Would we have known as a nation about $100 million in fake oil through ANV? Would we have known as a country that Delcy, a sanctioned vice president of Venezuela, came in with a PDVSA team because of Mrs. Pasabi Sessa? Would we have known that if she did not expose us? Would we have known months ago that it was the Prime Minister who run up the road by the President? And you know, this is the same President who has the audacity to come into Parliament and talk to parliamentarians and ask us, can we trust you? And then tell Parliament, and then ask parliamentarians why they're kissing in Parliament. I want to ask Her Excellency tonight, while she's sipping tea and eating scones, are you kissing at President House? Can the people of Trinidad and Tobago trust you to do your job after this fiasco and debacle that occurred with the Police Service Commission? And now we are hearing that it was you, Keith Rowley, and Bliss Prasad that was having tea and scones discussing the merit list at President House. Those are the burning questions that Trinidad and Tobago must ask themselves. Mrs. Pasabi Sessa has been a pioneer. She has fought time and time again, and she does not get the credit because of the fact that too many of the UNC supporters also buy into the hogwash and the bullshit of the People's National Movement. But as I've said time and time again, there are those of us who will stand strong, and we will fight the nepotism, the corruption, the wasting mismanagement of the PNM, and we will not carry the PNM's message, because all the PNM knows how to do. And I want, for those of you who may not be as old as I am, even though I'm one of the youngest members of Parliament, the exact same playbook that they did on Mr. Pandey, when Mr. Pandey demitted office in 2001, is the exact same playbook that they're trying on the UNC right now. The exact same playbook that they did with Petrotrin is the exact same playbook they're using on WASA, T&TEC. Marsha, I want to raise the issue before I go with the issue of TSTT. I have in my possession...
Gosh, I saw on the news how much people they're going to let go.
Correct. When Mrs. Pasabi Sessa left office, there was over 3,000 employees at TSTT. Right now at TSTT, there are just about 400 employees. I have in my possession documents which shows that while employees of TSTT is being sent home and placed on the breadline, they are the 1% companies and the 1% families in this country who have companies under different names that is getting billions and millions of dollars of work from TSTT, WASA, and T&TEC. So when the Prime Minister said the rich must get richer, clearly he knows what he was talking about, because those are the only people whose interests they are seeking. So while we are seeing thousands of employees going home at TSTT, I want to put in the public domain that the opposition does have the documents, and we will expose as the time goes on, because there are properties throughout this country. Because we would think that Faris Al-Rawi was the only rental man to the government. Well, apparently there was more in the 1% than Faris Al-Rawi. He was just one of them. And we have the documents.
There's an amalgamation of the 1%.
Exactly. It is an amalgamation. You got the word really, really right. Because
maybe not the right tense. Maybe it's amalgamated. Maybe that's the tense I'm looking for.
Well, as one PNM supporter said, time will tell and God don't sleep. So we will raise those issues. I mean, I have been raising it on the platform. I have only recently been given this portfolio, so it is a lot. I've now come into this portfolio over the last 4 months. So a lot is happening in the public utility sector, but I continue to be at the forefront of fighting for the people of Trinidad and Tobago because of the faith and confidence that Mrs. Pasabi Sessa and the party faithful has placed in me. So those are some of the issues I wanted to raise with you this evening. I know I have to run back into caucus. I want to thank you and your station. You have been doing a fantastic job, both on the social media and on the station. I want to give you courage, not that you need it. You are separate and apart from a great politician, a great vocalist, but also a great mother. I don't know how you balance it. I have a young child of my own, but you have 2 girls, and you are doing a really good job. You are
so
a
much,
great
Barry.
addition to our team, and I look forward to having you in Princestown very soon, because we'll be hosting TT Speaks. So
Right.
I intend to join with you once more, and I thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a
Sure.
good meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, that was our MP for Princestown. We call him the Peppermouth from Princestown. Well, actually, Corky, that came from not actually because, I mean, he really legit has a peppermouth. He's bring some fire in the parliament. But it's actually from a a pepper eating competition, but it flowed very well into, the hard hitting facts. And Corky, if you saw him and the douglAR,
Yes.
they hit them hard yesterday. It's not in Parliament per se, a joint select committee where they were discussing issues like WASA and stuff,
Yeah.
And what came out of that, Corky, that we do not understand, we talk about voting, and I come from P&M country, right?
Yeah.
And I always talk about propaganda. You hear me use that word all the time. And we must forget the propaganda and vote for policy and performance.
Yes.
People like to talk about, the stubborn facts word that Barry just talked about, that Manning used to talk about, Kamala uses it all the time. We always say, okay, it seems as though we lived better under Kamala, right? You feel it, but then people could say, well, they're just saying that.
Yeah.
Do you know what came out yesterday, Corky, in that meeting, in that joint select committee?
I'd like to know.
Do you know how many people get continuous water in their pipes in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you know what percentage of people, Corky? Take a wild guess. What do you feel like it could be? Take a guess.
What percentage gets continuous water?
Yeah.
Meaning like it don't ever cut off?
Yeah.
It's
Like they don't
continuous.
have problems for water. They get 24/7 water supply.
I don't know. I never thought about it.
Well, take a guess. Corky, you're real far from your mic. I hope they're hearing you.
I wouldn't know.
Okay. So let me tell you what it is, Corky.
Yes.
Under this government. Okay, hold up.
Yeah.
Let me start with, under Kamala Prasad Bisesa,
Yes.
it was 74%. Could you believe that? 74% of the population under Kamala Prasad Bisesa got a continuous water supply, 24/7 water supply.
Right.
And that's not, that's not what we think, right? These are reports and you have facts.
Yeah.
This is data, right?
Right.
Do you know under Keith Rowley what it is now? 16%.
Oh my gosh.
16%.
Wow.
Corky, this is not about race. It's not about
So-
tradition. It's
Yeah.
not about, well, my family always vote for PNM. You have to consider yourself. Remember when we had MP Amin come on
Yeah.
and she said, vote for yourself.
Okay,
Vote for yourself.
They're not fixing the roads, they're not doing anything. And I mean, are they
It's
water?
like, what they doing?
Water?
What they doing?
No.
What they doing? Corky, under, let me repeat these numbers, Corky. Under
Yeah.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa,
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago enjoyed 74% distribution, 24/7 distribution of water across the nation.
They just don't care if people get water.
Under Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM, it is now 16%.
Why?
Why? Because the only people that the PNM cares about is their friends, their family, and their finances. They don't care about you and I, Corky. They don't. It's either that or they're absolutely ridiculously incompetent. And I mean, well, we saw last week that the Minister of Public Utilities say he never knew that leaks does stop water pressure. So maybe they're just really incompetent. I don't know. Right? But there's no very well. Rowley's know how to twist words and how to make sure he say words in a certain way. And he's know how to play smart with his words, right?
Yeah.
He's know how to twist all the facts and bamboozle everybody.
Right.
So that's why I'm not sure that there's a situation where they're just absolutely dotish.
Oh.
I personally believe that is smart man. It's smart man. And I know we had to go on a break just now, eh?
Yeah.
But talking about smart man,
Yeah.
I want to talk about the new Attorney General.
Yes.
Oh gosh. I'm feeling bad because I used to do all my videos on Faris. I used to give Faris a hard time and I'm going to miss Faris because, we used to talk about Faris all the time. Oh gosh, Faris was in 101 scandal.
Yeah.
And Barry just talk about people don't give credit to Kamala Prasad Bisesa. But there was I don't know if Archie, I didn't show it to Archie, and it now come on my head.
Yeah.
But we had a front page in 2015. Listen to the date, 2015, where Kamala say, fire Faris. She raised concerns about Faris Al-Rawi since then, right? But we don't like to listen because we think, well, she's just, opposing for opposing's sake and that nonsense PNM narrative.
Yes.
But look at it now. How many people, apart from, those people who are just blinded by PNM loyalty, right? There's a deep-seated loyalty that comes from, I don't know. I don't like to talk about PNM supporters in a way, where they dotish and stuff. Because I think that.
So you don't think they're dotish? Yeah.
No, I think.
They're smart.
Battered. No. Listen, let me explain it, Corky.
Okay.
Battered wives syndrome is similar to battered citizen syndrome. There's something where you almost fall in love with your abuser. And when you go and do these studies and stuff, Corky, people who have been like kidnapped and whatnot, right? Do you know there are studies where they actually fall in love? And
really?
So there's also this kind of, a lot of times abusers have a sort of charm and charisma. So you hold on to, no, well, he could be fixed, or maybe it's my fault. That is a real thing. A lot of women would blame themselves. If they just cook, if they just shut up, if they just do this, then he would not have. So there's a psychological something that happens. Remember, I've been talking about our education system, our social studies books, how they would leave out important people such as Albert Gomes, and they would talk about Eric Williams, but they wouldn't talk about the foundation that Albert Gomes laid. And Eric Williams really was just in the right time at the right place. That is the kind of mental warfare that PNM would have played. And then, of course, they use that race. They use religion. I mean, I could tell you, I tell people I understand because I come from PNM country.
Oh.
Right? And
You say it so many times.
yes, well, Corky, because this is real. These are things that you hear in your head. That if, they play it out as though people are afraid of change. They're afraid of what they don't know. Right? So they make it out as though, well, this race, and if you vote for this party will take us into a different race, and we wouldn't have freedom, and they corrupt you, and then now, you get older, and I say, but wait, hold up. The Prime Minister, well, at that time, right, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, when you look at it, do you know she is not even married to a Hindu? Her husband is not Hindu, he's Presbyterian, he's Christian.
Okay.
So you look at the Senate, you look at the MPs, you look at the diversity. So when you start to look at the facts of the matter, then you go, wait. I'm not buying into it, I'm not buying into it. But it takes you, it is a journey. And when these facts, or not even facts, but it's lies, right? When these lies are constantly put into your head, and you have these people just shoving this down your throat through social studies. We talk about indoctrination, right? So that is the way that, people use that education system, and they use different things in society to make certain things and certain behaviors normal. Yes? So when you, I'm gonna go a little spiritual to explain this example to you. Back in the day, remember when you had sex outside of marriage, it was really looked down on 100 years ago, 50 years ago, right? It wasn't seen as something, people would shun you. Even when you look at the name of a child who was born outside of marriage, the bastard. Whew, I sneezed. Corky. Yes, my mic smelling a beep. The beep smell, yes. When you look at the names, it was because historically, a child who was born outside of marriage, they really looked down on you, right? Over the years, society moved away from religion and became a little bit more secular and open to things that was not necessarily that of biblical teaching, Quran, etc. So they moved away from the religious side of things to a more secular, liberal way, which in the end made it more normal and acceptable for people to have sex outside of marriage and to have children outside of marriage. And that's the mindset. You know, when you sort of make something normal, when you sort of say something over and over, it becomes the norm. So that is what I mean by PNM supporters are not dotish, they're not stupid. It's not something that I condone for us to say. But I think that they are victims of lies told over and over and over till it becomes the truth. And that is a playbook of a tyrant, of a dictator, right? If you can brainwash, you know, if you can say something over and over and over until that becomes the norm. So they've played that race rhetoric over and over and over, that, you know, well, Indian want to take over and black and you know, and that kind of nonsense race. And they say it over and over and over, right? And so you grow up, and for generations you've been hearing it. And I can tell you, Corky, what I saw on my own campaign, where the younger ones started to go, but it's not making sense, and they've started to wake up and question things that were being told to you, because you're not seeing it. It's not making sense. Right. And the older ones in the community basically said, listen, you're a traitor. You are a traitor. So there's a lot of emotion and there's a lot of loyalty and confusion that happens. Yeah. So it's not just a simple matter of, well, they're stupid and they don't know, right? And so we have to be patient. Just like, you know, they say it takes a woman 7 times to leave an abusive home before she can be really genuinely empowered, right? And I mean, it's sitting, depending on, it might be that, you know, finances, you don't want to leave your children. There's so many different things to take into consideration. So you can't just say, well, a woman's stupid because she's being abused and she's taking it, right? We can't just say that, you know, you have to understand the psychology of it. And so we have to help the PNM supporters journey over to the rising sun, you know, and that could only come through us giving the information over and over and over. So I know we have to go on a break, yes. Right? We were talking about Farris and the new Attorney General, so we're going to go back to that when we come back. Okay, don't go anywhere.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. Something for everyone. 975 FM. Music for you. It's all about you.
U97.5 FM, hot like pepper, multicultural radio.
Power to the listeners.
Come to the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. Great ambience, fantastic prices, all COVID protocols observed. Full premium bar available. Call Waves at 731-4646 to make your reservation. Come dine with the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. You must be vaccinated to dine in.
Rupnarine's March Special now on. Purchase any kitchen or bathroom vanity and get your handles free, as well as free installation. Yes, available for the entire month of March. Free handles, free installation. There is more good news at Rupnarine. We manufacture everything you need. Just let us know the size and color. We also do site visits nationwide. Visit us at Rupnarine Commercial Complex, Caroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or call us today at 665-7667 or 377-7667 for more details.
Le Grand Coulant Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock. Bed and breakfast rates available. To book, call 283-2597 or 463-2946. The Grand Coulant Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock.
Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. We have a selection of all pharmaceutical products
and over-the-counter drugs to complement your wellness. Every product we carry is vetted and approved by our pharmacists who will be happy to assist you. With branches at C3 Mall inside JTA Supermarket, 1135 SS Erin Road in Pinal, and 54 Rosha Douglas Road in Barrackpore. We offer services such as blood pressure testing, blood sugar testing, cholesterol testing, and also offer a wide variety of pregnancy test kits. We accept most major health insurances. For further information, contact Eddie's Pharmacy at any of our 3 branches. C3 Mall, contact number 228-4990, 54 Rosha Douglas Road in Barrackpore at 654-2655. Or SS Erin Road in Pinal, 647-0778, Eddie's Pharmacy Limited.
Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Join me, Anthony Jules, on Late Nights with Jules, only on MCTV. New guests every week, activity, games, hot topics, a lot of discussions. You don't want to miss it. Tune in and join me only on MCTV, 9 p.m. Trust me, you don't want to miss this.
This Friday, March 18th, the Afterwork Lime is at Roxbury Sports Bar, number 325, Southern Main Road, Cunupia, featuring Kelly Matthews, Pan Melodies. The action starts from 5 p.m. Carib and Stag, $10. Free cutters. The Afterwork Lime is at Roxbury Sports Bar, 325, Southern Main Road, Cunupia, with Kelly Matthews, Pan Melodies. This is a safe zone. All COVID-19 protocols in effect. Music by in-house DJ Blue.
Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3 Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica.
Opening hours.
Saturday 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Sundays 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. When you think about fresh produce and good quality food, come to Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3 Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica.
Hi, this is Michael Rutlal, attorney at law. I'm inviting you to join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. on MCTV for the Social Contract. It's a new show where we will be discussing bills that are being debated in Parliament, topical legal issues and recent decisions of our courts, and where we'll be giving general legal advice on issues that affect you, the public. I encourage all of you to continue looking at MCTV, bringing you back to where you belong.
Fire Friday!
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of the face. Friday, red, white, and black. Friday, I'm back.
Fire Friday! Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday.
Your favorite day is Friday.
I don't know. Actually, I think my favorite day is Wednesday. Or maybe Thursday. Wednesday.
You like the middle? Okay.
Well, it's the only day we don't have anything. So that's the day. Last week, Wednesday, I went to Macquarie
Right.
with my husband alone.
Alone?
Yes.
Okay.
We leave the children home. Sometimes you need to do that, Corky.
They were home alone by themselves?
No, they're not home alone by themselves. So we leave them without us.
Oh, all right.
Right, Corky.
Yes.
I want to talk about the new Attorney General, but I want to make sure
All right.
that we remind the country that in 2015, when Faris became Attorney General,
Yes.
Kamla Prasad Bisesa warned us.
Yes.
And had we listened to her in 2015, we would have saved ourselves 7 years of heartache, of scandal, of lost cases in
Can you
court.
explain me what you're talking about?
What do you mean? Listen, if it's not land and rent and intervening in Boatgate,
Yes.
it's all kind of thing. Not to mention, he cannot win a case. He cannot win a case. And every time he loses, every time the state loses, you have to understand, it's not coming out of Faris money, you know. It's coming out of we pocket because it's taxpayers' dollars pay for his incompetence.
Now, when you were saying that if we had listened, what
Well, had the country stood up, you see, this is what we do not get. Trinidad and Tobago like to say, well, what the opposition doing? Well, the opposition is making you aware. The opposition is using their resources to fight in court as much as they can fight in court. They push. But there comes a point in time. You know, Senator Lakshmi Dayal did an interview this morning, I think it was, on MCTM. And she said, when a prime minister, and you're making me go off tracking or cocky, but anyways,
All right.
when a prime minister could come and boldfacedly declare that he was involved in an independent process, and he speaks as though he's untouchable, that is something the country must be concerned about. And don't come and tell me no rubbish about no weak opposition, right? Because Gary Griffith talking all over, Philip Alexander, all of them talking all over, and what? Nothing has become of it. You know why? Because, again, people like to say all the lawyers that Kamala have, that UNC have, yes, we have the most brilliant lawyers. But the most brilliant lawyers still need to follow the law. Which means we need the TTPS, we need the Commissioner of Police, in this case the Acting Commissioner of Police, to launch an investigation. And not just launch the investigation, but properly investigate it, independently investigate it, and then go to the DPP and say, right, we believe that there is a case here to be prosecuted. These things must happen. So we still, with all our, yes, our lawyers happy to do it. But we need evidence. We need to follow the Constitution. We need to follow laws and what we are seeing. And this is where I'm coming to talk about the danger of this new Attorney General. Because what we are seeing is how deep inside and entrenched the PNM has their hands into our independent institutions. And that is a dangerous thing, Trinidad and Tobago. When a prime minister could so confidently declare that it was him, he met with Bliss Sipasad at President's house when the merit list came out. That is a strong case for misbehavior in public office. Right?
Yes.
Now, this is where I think maybe, I'm not a lawyer, but maybe only Gary Griffith might be able, because people what we need to explain to people is that UNC cannot sue somebody, right? That's not how the law works, you know.
Right.
How it works is that somebody who is a part of the scandal, you know, so like for instance, Corky, if you and I get in a fight and I kill you, well, you know, maybe not murder. Let's go with something that's still or if I rob you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with something a little less dramatic. But the way the country going, everything is so bad, you know.
Yeah.
But I rob you, Corky.
Yes.
And let's say use PNM and I use UNC. UNC can't come and say, well, that UNC will go before the courts and challenge Corky, right?
Yeah.
UNC will have to say, well, Marsha, we could represent you, but Marsha has to be the one to bring to be the person, right?
Yeah.
UNC cannot be the person before the court. They're not a person.
Right.
You understanding?
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be, is Marsha willing to stand and give evidence and be a witness and all of that, right? So it's not as simple as UNC saying, well, look, you know, we taking Rowley to court. You know, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. So probably the only person might be if, I don't know, if Bliss Sipasad come out and she speaks, and as we need Bliss to come out and talk. We need to find out from her what happened on that day. What did Keith Rowley say to you on that day? You know, because then maybe she might have a case where she could come out and you know, sue Rowley or something. I don't know, depending on how the conversation went that day. Right? So, and you already see, well, I think he pulled it back. I don't know where Gary is. Gary is be all over sometimes, right? But he can probably sue the state and the TTPS and whoever, right? Maybe he could even sue the Prime Minister himself now that there's an admission that, you know, but of course the Prime Minister is saying he didn't interfere. Well, the court could decide whether that meeting with Bliss Supersad and the President would have constituted as interference. But UNC cannot necessarily just come and say, well, look, we have all this information. We're going to take the man to court and, you know, hey, he guilty and that's that. Which is what Jayanti was saying this morning. You know, it's a very worrying place to be when you could see a Prime Minister getting away with some real obvious things in what appears to any logical thinker to be a crime, to be obvious misbehavior in public office. And he could so boldfacedly and confidently and arrogantly declare it was me. It's like, what are you going to do about it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, let me tell you, you know, when a man is a big shot and he earning all the money and he know very well that the woman need the money. So he come home and he see it in movies and things all the time. He see it in real life all the time.
Yeah.
And he come home and he know very well he own the wife, right, Corky?
Yes.
And the wife catch him. And he ain't even trying to hide it. He kind of perk up his chest and say, what you gonna do? Leave? And laugh. Because he know she can't leave. You know? Where you going? You know no friends, you know no family, you know no money. Where you going? So he feel he could do whatever he want and she can't go nowhere now.
All right.
That is that's the attitude we are seeing from this Prime Minister. What you going to do? What you going to do? I have my hands in every independent institution. I is king and God in this country. What are you really going to do? And that is where the people, Corky,
Yes.
that is where the power of the people must understand, Corky, their power. The people must understand their power. There comes a point in time when the opposition can do no more. They will continue to fight. They will continue to press. They will continue. But the people have got to decide on their own. That you see how Barry talked about shut down the whole highway? I spoke to you all about, remember I told you about the incident where in Ukraine, the citizens literally stayed in the square, in Maiden Square, for months. They stayed in the square for months.
Right.
And they refused to move until the president resigned. I think, honestly, Corky, we have got to that point in Trinidad. You see Woodford Square?
Yes.
You know, they used to call that the University of Woodford Square. That's where all the
Yes.
politics and thing was debated.
Yes. Yes.
We need every single citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, Corky, to gather outside of Woodford Square. Well, not everybody. You can fit 1.4, right? And we
Yeah.
need some people to go home and cook. But that square must be full. 100,000 in that square
Yes.
with a conviction and a commitment that we're not moving until Keith Christopher Rowley resign. Until he call election and get a fresh mandate. It has to be. Because what else, how long, how bad is the country going to get before we get to that stage? And I'm talking about no coup. I keep saying I don't believe in the violence and all of that. But could you imagine if 100,000 of our citizens go inside of Woodford Square and they commit that we are not moving until
How
you
more
resign?
worse could it get? People dying,
Well,
people
that's
have
the
no
whole
work,
thing.
no food.
How much worse? Every
I
day
know.
you hearing somebody retrenching workers. Look, Unilever retrenching how many workers this week? Corky, TSTT retrenching how many workers? Every single minute. Not even day anymore. The murder toll is what, 100 and something? And we're not even finishing March, so we're not even 90 days. How many days we into the year, Corky? 13 January, 28 in February, that's 58. Right? 60 days, we're not even a good 60 days. Right? I feel like doing my maths bad and somebody going and mess me up. Yeah, it's 30 and 20, 58. Right? 70 days, 80 days.
Yes.
That is somebody losing their life, maybe 2 a day now, every day, from murder. Crime is out of control. Crime is out of control. How much medicine you can't get, right? How many basic things you can't get anymore? How many people are on the breadline, cannot afford to feed their families? How much worse can our country get? And I mean, it could get worse, right? Because we see what happens in Venezuela. We've seen it. We watch your video, Corky.
Yes.
If you don't jump in a pirogue and try to risk your life to come to Trinidad, you're sure to dead in Venezuela of starvation. So it could get worse, but the question is, are we going to wait till that is where it reaches before we stand up and we say enough is enough? When a prime minister could stand up and say, well, I do it, it's me, what are they going and do? How bad is that, Corky? And we like a bunch of battered wives who dependent on this man money and dependent on this man house and dependent, and we have no power. That's how we behaving. We behaving like little doormats. Do me what you want because I have nothing else but you in life. That's how we behaving. That is how we behaving as citizens. And the reason I want to talk about the new Attorney General is to prove, Corky, just how deep this man's hands is in our institutions, our independent institution. You know what we are never saying? Wolf in sheep clothing?
Yes.
I think in Trinidad what we have is P&M in independent clothing. They like to pretend they're independent. But when you really pull off the sheep clothing, the independent clothing, it's wolf, it's P&M under there. So I'm going to talk about the Attorney General and why, let me tell you, Faris was a proper dunce. He was properly incompetent. The only person to fare more than a properly incompetent person is a very competent smart man. You understand what I'm saying, Corky?
Yes.
Because when you don't know how to thief and you don't know how to get around the law, you're fairly limited. But when you are skilled, then...
A skilled thief.
Right? When you're skilled in the arts, then we have to be afraid of that kind of person.
Rowley?
Well, I'm talking about the new Attorney General.
Okay.
Reggie is what I'm going to call him. Reginald Armour.
Oh.
Armour. Right? I'm going to call him Reggie.
You can't touch him.
Just like guys call Faris.
Yes, Armour now. You can't touch him.
Exactly. That is it. Rowley need armor and he bring out Reggie. Right? I want to point out some things about him. I have it on, let me see, I think, right, I wrote out so many things.
All right, let's hear.
Right? Again, Kamala already started to warn the country, just like she warned them about Faris. She started to warn the country about Reginald, right?
Right.
So we have to decide now, Trinidad and Tobago, whether we're going to stand up or we're going to let this very skilled lawyer sit at the helm. And I have some, as I say, I have some things to talk about.
But a lot of people who don't know about politics,
well, that's why
would they take on that or would they know that?
Well, that's why we're going to break it down here tonight and you tell me.
Yes, yes.
You tell me.
All
right? Remember Senator Vera? That's the independent senator, right? Yes. So I'm breaking it down, Corky. Inside the parliament, you have PNM people, inside Senate in particular, right? Yes. You have some PNM senators, you have UNC senators, and you have independent senators.
Right.
So Before people like Vera and them, I used to want to hear from the independent senators in particular.
Right.
Because I felt as though they would have come and they would have spoken from a place that isn't biased through their parties.
Right.
Right? So that's why it would be important to have an independent senator inside of there.
Right.
Now, Senator Vera brought what is called a motion of censure against the whole opposition senators, right? All of them, not just one, all of them.
Okay.
Right? And he basically went to town on the opposition senators. You know, he insulted them, he bad talked them,
Yes.
which, of course, first to begin, was not necessarily the best thing to do as an independent senator. You should stay out of PNM UNC business
Yeah.
and stick to the bill at hand. But, okay, you thought that they were not right or whatever, and so you decide you go in and do that.
Right.
When he was debating in Parliament now, Corky, the man come and say how judges and lawyers and, you know, members of the judiciary
Yeah.
message him to talk about Jayanti, which of course, again, was a reckless thing to do, because how you could, the lawyers and judges, our judiciary is again supposed to be independent, right?
Right.
So they are not supposed to be commenting on a UNC senator. You do not comment on UNC and PNM. You don't comment on political business. Stay out of it. Deal with the facts at hand, deal with the case that is brought before you, and that is that.
Right.
So that is what was fairly reckless in his statement. Right? But remember, he was talking about judges and lawyers and things that reach out to him, right?
Yeah.
So follow me here, Corky. When you go now, I should pull it up, you know. I'm going to pull up because I want to make sure all you... So when all you take... Because I'm going to just give a little summary, right? But I want all you to go and do research. You know, as I always say, don't take my word for it.
Right.
Go and dig, go and look. Right, what's the name of the company? Let me make sure I know the name of the company. Dialogue Solutions. Right? I have it on my Facebook. But you can just Google it. Dialogue Solutions, right?
Yes, yes.
When you check out Dialogue Solutions, and they have a part of the website that's called Meet the Board.
Oh.
Well, you know who are the board members in Dialogue Solutions? You could take a guess, or you want to tell you?
Oh my gosh.
Is the new Attorney General and the so-called independent Senator Vera. Ridiculous. Anthony Vera sits on the same board as Reginald Armour, our new Attorney General. So when Vera stood up and say how people, how judges and whatnot were messaging him,
Yes.
I wonder if it was Reggie himself. But again, what it is that you doing on the same board with an Attorney General, a PNM Attorney General, and you are supposed to be an independent senator.
Yeah.
So now, if we didn't question your independence, I am wondering, I mean, would you trust his independence now, Corky, if you were me? If you were a regular, because you're saying, you know, those who don't follow politics. So that's why I'm talking to you, Corky.
Yes.
Right? If I come and I say to you, one of the independent senators inside a parliament
Yes.
sits on the same board in the same company with a PNM Attorney General, do you think he would naturally be able to be independent?
No, you won't.
So that's one thing, right? That's one strike against independence there.
Yes.
Let me go further back, because that's today. That's right now. This is what the situation is right now. In 2015, Reggie was the president of the Law Association. Again, the Law Association is supposed to be an independent body.
Right.
They are not supposed to be politically affiliated. They're not supposed to be biased towards UNC, PNM, ILP, ULP. It didn't make a difference. They are supposed to be independent.
Right.
He came out, at that time he was the Law Association president, right? So all the time, you know, well, he independent, again, you know, you're talking, you're independent, because you wouldn't want a known PNM supporter to be the president of your law association, because again, it's supposed to be independent, right?
Right.
He come out and lambaste UNC. And it's there, you know, it's all in the media, it's all public knowledge. So this is not even things that I know because I inside or anything, right? You could just Google it. Google Law Association slams UNC and put the word regional next to it, so anything with regional will come up.
Right.
And he came out against the UNC at that time.
Yeah.
And when the UNC would stand up and would say that the president of the Law Association is really PNM, you know, people like to say, but them is make them thing up. They're lying or they're just saying it. And that's what I want Trinidad to see in hindsight. Because when Kamala saying it, at the moment that it's happening, we don't like to believe. But now that the story has unfolded in front of our face, we should take a step back and say, oh shucks, look, Kamala was saying that all the time and we really didn't believe her. We really didn't believe her. And that's what I want Trinidad to see. That at the time, when he was the president of the Law Association, Kamala was saying the Law Association has been infiltrated by the PNM. PNM has broken into our independent institutions. Right? Now, as I say, the sheep clothing come out.
Yes.
And you see the true colors. So, let me go again. So, they infiltrate the Law Association. I just proved that. I just showed that to you.
Right.
Because all the time, you're pretending you're independent. But there's a secret PNM. There's a closet PNM. And now you come out of the closet. Could we really trust anything that happened in the Law Association when you were the president? Because we called it then. We said you were not independent. We said it's not a matter of qualifications, you know, Corky. We're not saying that the man, I tell you, he's way more dangerous than Faris because he's skillful. Faris wasn't really a lawyer. You know, he's one of them that went to law school and passed the bar, but he ain't really a solid lawyer. Reggie's a solid lawyer. He was involved in very high-profile cases, and in fact, that is what I have a problem with. Do you know, remember Petrotrin and the shutdown? Yeah. And the 5,000 workers they sent home?
Yes.
Guess who was the lawyer who lead that charge? Corky, I wish they could see your face.
Reginald.
I'm telling you, Corky, I can't make this thing up. I can't make this thing up, Corky. Our Attorney General of today was the Petrotrin lawyer responsible for sending home 5,000 people. Corky, give me the time, Corky, to read a little article for you, just to show you how involved he was. Hold on, let me find the article for you, Corky. Let me find it. I don't know if you want to play a song or something. Play This Girl Is on Fire.
Fire. Let me get that.
Let me find the article for you. Hold on. Let me find it. Right. Oh gosh, well, I have so much article. So listen to the headline of this one, Corky.
Yes.
And it's the headline says Armour is his name. Right? Yeah. We will be filing Petrotrin appeal today. Reginald Armour, SC, the lead attorney for Petrotrin, has confirmed that he and his legal associates will be filing their application to appeal the ruling handed down by Industrial Court President Deborah Thomas Felix yesterday, in which she granted the Oilfield Workers Trade Union an injunction restricting the further termination of workers and the issuance of voluntary separation offers to staff. Right? He was the lawyer who went against the trade union.
Right.
When the trade union was trying to fight for the rights of the employees, he was the lawyer. He was the lawyer that said, right, I am going to challenge the trade unions and I'm going to ensure that these this
Yeah.
injunction that stops us from firing workers,
Yes.
right? Listen to this. Listen to this line. This is another article. The headline of this article, Corky, it's about closing down Petrotrin. Right? Listen to it. This is his words. He submitted an email to Express to clear things up. In the report on page 4 of Friday's Express, lawyers square off in marathon debate. It is reported erroneously that I said to the court as follows, and he puts in quotation marks, "We are restructuring a 40-year-old company that has been poorly managed." Goes on. My client's case to the court is that the company, Petrotrin, is being closed down. In my address to the court, at no time did I say to the court, as you reported erroneously, that the company is restructuring. Rowley put Reggie there to make sure they have no restructuring about Petrotrin, you know.
Yes.
It is about closing down Petrotrin. Listen to this one now, Corky. Let me find another article for you. Listen to the headlines of this one. Trinidad Petrotrin gets go-ahead to fire workers. State-owned Petrotrin can now go ahead with plans to terminate its 5,000 employees by the end of next month as the industrial court-imposed injunction has been stayed. Right?
Yes.
Hold on. Let me go on. At a marathon session, Petrotrin's lawyer, led by who? Reginald Armour SC, sought to convince the judge that the stay was necessary, since it is the company's contention that the industrial court made several errors in law when it granted the injunction on Monday. Wow. He was the man that Rowley hired to say, you see them 5,000 workers?
Yeah.
They must go. They must go. They must be fired. You see, Farris couldn't do that kind of case. He would have lose. When Rowley need a big shot lawyer to go and fight the small man and to shut down things like Petrotrin, is Reggie Rowley call. And that is why, Corky, this new Attorney General is very dangerous. Because if we thought Farris was incompetent and we couldn't take the incompetence, what we have now is a man who knows his way around the law and is willing to do Rowley's bidding. It appears so. It certainly appears so to me.
So then the whole aspect of the reshuffling is to get through again, fool people?
It's always, listen. Rowley always know what he doing, you know. He always know why and how. You think, so initially, and listen, when I read about him and thing in the beginning, right?
Yes.
I say, I started to actually get scared. I said, well, look, Rowley really do a local government election magic one. Because you know that's what he like to do. He like to play the fool, and just before election, he's pull out some trick. So I say, he bring a lawyer that, because everybody respects him. So I say, well, right. Well, look thing now, UNC really better step up the game because he went and find a good Attorney General. When I start to dig into this man now, well, I could not believe it. I said, well, we went. What is he saying, Corky? You went from the
out of the pot into the fire?
Yes. That you see, you know exactly. I didn't even tell you a piece of the saying, and you knew exactly what I was thinking. We went from the pot into the fire with this one. Yeah. Because this man, you see, you know, people, you know, when Farris say UNC lawyers, and he's always talking about these UNC lawyers always before the court.
Yeah.
Look at the kind of cases that UNC lawyers take up. Right now, we see Anand Ramlogan. He's representing the lone surviving diver to ensure that he gets justice, right? So you see, Anand is going for the small man, making sure the small man get justice.
Yes.
When the residents in Freeport, remember when they wanted to put the morgue or whatever it is they wanted to put there, and the residents were kicking up a fuss.
Yeah.
Dinesh Rambali, he went and he fought for them and won. So he fought against the state and won.
Yeah.
Right? When you had the issue with the fellas who in jail for 10, 15 years and you can't even bring the matter before the court.
Right.
Right? That's victimization.
Yes.
Right? Is Anand Ramlogan fight for that? Remember the case with the lady where they wash her private areas with lye or something instead of I mean that's crazy, right? Wow. And the state want to give her a hullabaloo and a ring around to compensate and to help her. Is Anand Ramlogan fight that? So when you look at the kinds of cases that UNC lawyers take up, they fight for the people.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, when you look at P&M lawyer, they fight against the people. Do you remember when Farris' wife was hired? Well, I know you don't remember because you don't pay attention to politics. You're learning everything. It's always say learning from being here.
Yeah.
When they had issues with scholarships and stuff, and when UNC lawyers would have been fighting for the children who losing their scholarship,
Yes.
P&M lawyers, Farris and his family, decide I'm going and fight against the children to ensure they don't get scholarships.
What?
That is the kind of cases that these P&M lawyers like to take up. They like to fight the small man. So Reginald Armour was the man responsible for Petrotrin, for shutting down and for firing 5,000 employees. That is who we have as our Attorney General now.
What's his mission now? He's back.
Well, listen, I ain't finished. I ain't even finished with
okay.
all of that.
Yeah.
Could you believe that? I ain't finished with it. Imagine how much dirt I find. And I ain't even find by calling nobody, eh?
Right.
All you have to do, go home and Google Reginald Armour and put in Petrotrin,
Yes.
put in AV oil, but just Google it and you will see everything that come up with him.
Yes.
When, remember, AV oil and gas went against Petrotrin, because, remember, Kamala said they had fake oil and whatnot. So they took it to court, and AV oil say, well, they're suing Petrotrin. Right. All of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, because it was before, so I kind of going wrong in terms of timelines, right?
Right.
But he wasn't Petrotrin lawyer back then. This was a year before they shut down Petrotrin.
Right.
At that time, it was Ramesh.
Oh.
And this is, let me sidetrack for a little bit. Rowley liked to talk about, he talked about in his interview, he's hire people from all over. He's truly independent. And as he kind of sheep and wolf and sheep clothing are talking about.
Yeah.
But why you don't hire UNC lawyers when they inside UNC and when they voting for Kamala? Yes, you come and say, well, Ramesh was UNC. But you very well know that Ramesh and Kamala fall out.
Yeah.
So he's operate on this kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Oh. Okay.
And then come and fool the public and say, yeah, but look, I use a UNC lawyer.
Oh.
He is just twist up thing all over the place, But anyway, so I digress.
Right.
Because, well, anyway, just to point out, Corky, if you didn't realize, Ramesh is the Commissioner of Inquiry lead counselor, but we leave that there.
Okay. Yes.
Right? We leave that there. Because I know Anand on the case, so I bet on Anand any day. Any day I go bet on Anand. So that diver is in good hands.
Right.
But when AV Oil and Gas say, listen, I think the article at that time, it was talk or we sue, something like that. So the AV Oil and Gas basically say, look, we have to come and settle.
Yes.
or else, we're going to sue for $1 billion or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
And, Stuart and all of them say, well, if we didn't do that, and if we didn't hand over this contract, or we didn't do whatever, we would have paid so much more. Right? Guess who was the mediator in them talks? It said, whispered into
Original?
ding, ding, ding! Exactly. Don't say the oh my gosh fast. Say the oh my gosh in your mic.
What's going on?
He was the mediator. Once again, you pretend to be independent.
Yeah.
Oh, let me not say pretend then next, because he's a good lawyer. He might take this show and want to sue me for all kind of scandal and defamation. He was called in allegedly as an alleged independent
Yes.
to mediate between Petrotrin and AV Oil and Gas.
Yeah.
Could you now that you realize and all the cards come out and you really show his true colors, do you have confidence in what happened at that mediation now, Koki? You not being into politics and not interested in any of them kind of politics and bacchanal. Now that I've just shown you that the person who they call to mediate between AV Oil and Gas and Petrotrin is the new Attorney General appointed by PNM and Rowley. Do you now, knowing this, when you go back to 2017, do you have confidence?
How would you have confidence there? Because, that's not right.
Exactly.
That's not right.
So you expecting me to believe?
Playing games.
Exactly. You expecting me to believe that what really transpired in those talks was really with the people of Trinidad and Tobago at the forefront of the conversation? A man who, and so that was in 2017, right? And then in 2018, look, you see him coming up?
That's him?
No, you're putting the wrong name.
All right.
You're putting the wrong name. The last name wrong. Look, Corky Googling him.
Okay.
I've won over Corky, y'all. Corky starting to Google politics now. Lord.
I want to see the person's face.
But then take out Dumas. You're putting the wrong name. Hold on. Right. The first name right, but the last name wrong. And A-R...
Spell it for me, please.
A-R...
A-R...
A-R-M...
A-R-M...
O-U-R. It didn't come up. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Press enter and see. Yes, look him there. That's him there.
Wow.
And that is it. Listen. Oh gosh, I'm feeling good.
Look at
Corky
his
Googling.
eyes.
Corky Googling politics now.
Look at his eyes on this one here.
Yeah, Corky. Knowledge is power, and I'm feeling so good because you all must go. To have the power, we must have the knowledge. So we must take the time to go past all the propaganda and really become politically educated.
Right.
So this is the man.
So what was he doing before he got this post? What
Well, that's what I show you. He was the president of the Law Association.
Right.
So people have a lot of respect for him as a lawyer. He's a big shot
Yes.
lawyer and he's well respected,
Oh.
and he decorated. He has a lot of qualifications and he's held a lot of senior posts. He's held posts
Wow.
throughout the Caribbean and stuff.
Okay.
So
The
that's
only
why I
post
say
I hold was a lamppost.
So that's why I say
Yes.
he's not like Faris, who really, didn't do. He's a very skilled lawyer. And so I tell you what he was doing before is he was the president of the Law Association, and as the president of the Law Association, he was lambasting UNC
Right.
and pretending to be independent.
Oh.
But now we're PNM Nichols showing.
Wow. So there's a lot of games going on in
It's
politics.
plenty games.
To come to think about
It's
it.
plenty
You
games
see,
with the
it's-
PNM man, Corky.
A lot of people who not into politics, like normal street
Yes.
people, they don't know.
They don't know.
And
But
they
that's
don't
why
know
I
and-
like to come and talk. That's why I like to come and talk at that level. Because, Corky, I don't have no law degree. I'm not no
Yes.
politician.
Yes.
I am a simple mother who trying to fight for a better country for my children, for my two girls. So, hopefully, my thing is, if I could understand it, well, I think, everybody could understand it, right? So if
Right.
you and I sit down here and have a conversation where I explain it to you,
Yes.
the average person now who not involved in politics could be able to understand, and that way we could be able to start a vote from a place where nobody in playing games and
But think about how much work you have to do to educate people about this stuff. Look,
well, that's why we're here.
But it's
Well, it's
still,
work.
it's,
I know it's work, but we
it's
willing to
still
do
when
the
we
work.
reach into them that.
No, we had to keep at it.
All right,
We had to keep at
okay,
it.
all right.
And so when I say it here, I go say it on Facebook, then I go say it when I'm talking to people. You know, people, how much times I be on the
Yes.
phone talking to people, explaining. When I'm outside on the ground with the fellas, and then we explain. So it's
Right.
plenty work. But you know, Corky, after I say it to you, right? You know what you gotta do?
Yes.
Talk to somebody else.
Yes.
So
yes,
when you're on the block now and somebody's saying something and you know it's the wrong thing they're saying, I am now equipping you to hold your own in the conversation and explain to them the truth. So when we see, and so every Friday night when our 10,000 people listen here,
Right.
10,000 people, if each of those 10,000 people
Right.
go and talk to 10 people, then that's 100,000. So that is the aim. So I am not going to say it to 1.4 million people. But if, while I say it, Jayanti saying it, Barry saying it, Anil saying it, Victor saying it, everybody saying it, Kamala have her troops out there. And that is the aim. We have to give the people the correct information so that when they go to the polls, they must understand. And honestly, we can't even wait till we go to the polls, because look, I am showing you. Reginald was responsible for 5,000 people being sent home.
Just like that.
What else has he been brought here to do? Do you know, the last count that we count, this man was the amount of legal, like the amount of work that he do, right? When he invoice and stuff to the state, we at a count of $10 million in legal fees so far.
Right.
He has been involved in numerous high-profile cases. You know, he was even Farris' lawyer at one point.
Okay.
So, how much, and this is just him alone, right? You know, these lawyers would be like the head of a certain law chamber.
Right.
And under them, they would have like their lawyers and stuff within that chamber that work for them.
Yeah.
How many of those lawyers have cases before the state that have money outstanding? So will he now, because he is in charge of a certain budget, right? He will have the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs and whatever,
Yes.
right? Oh, look, you see, I was wondering why the phones wasn't ringing, but see, I clicked something, so we was...
Well, that's your fault.
God,
The phone is up to you there.
Oh, my, the phone is up to me. All right,
You
but let me
have
take a call, because I was really wondering. Let me take that call. It's my fault.
You have to drop the call.
Oh, gosh,
Hello?
I dropped the call. Yes, I didn't drop Barry's call.
Yeah.
So the phone lines were closed by accident. We're so sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Marsha.
Oh, gosh, and look who it
Okay,
is.
Everybody
Hi.
out there.
Yes.
Marsha, you put out a lot of information. The country's rocking with PNM corruption. And yet still we have UNC backbiters and crabs in the barrel. Vexed because we will have to say we, because I support the UNC, you understand? Laughing at Farris' demotion. Imagine you have a man like Fuad Khan saying that, criticizing what the UN and everybody saying about Farris, and saying that Keith Rowley made a smart move there by putting him in local government because he will bring reform. And he's a workaholic, waterholic. The only hard work Farris ever did was recuse himself and fold his pocket square and died here. That's the hardest piece of work Farris ever did. And these are the things that we are
I am
hearing.
actually worried that what he will go there and do is make sure that he solidify the San Fernando West seat. He will put all the resources there.
And the thing is, Marsha, look at the you see what it is happening there with Farris? That is karma for what it is he did and continue to do to Anand Ramlogan. Anand resigned, but he had to fall from the AG's office into the suspect ministry. I call it the suspect ministry. You understand? And for people to laugh at him. And it have more to come, you know. It have more to come. They're going to come down one by one, two by two. Now look at what it is took place. We are hearing what it is took place between Bessie Prasad, Rowley, and the president. And yet still, I wonder how Vieira and Paul Richardson are feeling today when they brought motion of censure against these UNC senators. When all this seemed blatantly now the corruption, and also with Bassan Barrow.
And they refused to vote in the tribunal. How are they feeling now that they didn't vote to have the president go before a tribunal?
Anil and them try to raise the issue, what are we voting on? It's vote and go.
Yeah.
Vote and go. And look at what it is we see now took place. And then you had Vassad on one side criticizing Kamala because the merit list didn't go to Parliament. Oh, suppose it was a menu. It wasn't a menu. It was the merit list that the president had a right to go and give to the Parliament.
Agreed.
Where is the president today? She's very quiet. And according to Larry Lala, under the Constitution, we can't charge her. But madam, if we can't charge you, where is your conscience? Resign and go.
Yeah.
They are dragging the flag, Marsha. And look at Bacchanal going on in his face. Now look at how much shit you reveal about Regina Lamo. But let me tell you something before I go. The Law Association is PNM party group from way back when. You understand?
But you see, when we say it, they don't like to believe it. They like to say we just saying thing.
Yes.
That's why I'm bringing the facts.
We have Douglas Menz. Is Douglas Menz sitting on the as chairman on the Security and Exchange Board. That is a PNM appointment. We have Gilbert Peterson sitting on Telecommunications Authority, another PNM appointment. And they want to talk about people? No, that is why, Marsha, they were by what it is Keith Rowley did, and up to now they're quiet because they know why they have to eat at the PNM trough. Thanks a lot and have a good evening.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You see, Corky, so we have the ground troops. We have the ground troops that carrying the message. We have it, man. Good night. You are live on Hemi UNC on Fire Fridays.
Marsha.
Hello.
And to Mr. Corky, a blessed night to you all.
Good night.
The simplicity of what you are doing, Marsha, to show the honesty, the dignity, and the transparency of your reading. But Miss Marsha, I am a Degomatian, and I will sit down with you for 15 minutes, and I will show you which part the crooks are in high.
Mm-hmm.
And when you could sit and read what you're reading, Marsha, Eve and capital A, common A. They take us for common people and stupid people on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We are the people who go out there to vote. You know, you just use a word and you just use it, this is PNM country. And in the heart of people, when you're saying something, it goes into side of them. Spirituality is something that could change anything. But ignorance is something that brings three things: blood, death, and a lifetime of sorrow. When I could sit with you for 15 Miss Marsha, 15 minutes of your time I would ask for. And when I show you the people you're talking about, all of them are the same, no difference. And it's something that, and I could give you number to all the people who I'm going to talk about. Give them the number, and you'll shock and surprised to see the kind of people what they are. Have a blessed and wonderful night. Be careful, Marsha, and stay as you are. You're talking the truth and continue, and you'll be right there. But when you're talking the truth and you're among liars, they just get and destroy you. Eh? Have a blessed and wonderful night to you all.
Keep me in your prayers. Thank you very much. Listen, we can't be afraid, you know. We can't be afraid. We had to speak the truth. And what happened. Good night. You are live with Marsha Walker on U975.
And a blessed evening to you.
Thank you.
As much as we know about that nasty man, this Attorney General, new Attorney General, anybody who picking up position in the PNM, nasty. Right? I want you to answer me this question. Why did America went into Venezuela and kidnap Hugo Chavez and put him on a little island? What make America do that? And after they do that, the people went and free him and did the embargo on Venezuela running. It's America who have starvation going on in Cuba and in Venezuela and divided East-West, East and North Congo, North and South Sudan. Tigray fighting Ethiopia with
Let's stick to Trinidad.
American-made
Let's stick to
weapons.
Trinidad. How does this relate to what we're supposed to learn?
Tigray fighting Ethiopia with American-made weapons. Answer me that question, how he get into Venezuela to kidnap Hugo Chavez.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's keep the conversation on to Trinidad and Tobago. As far as it relates to Trinidad. We could use the other, we could use, like, let's say, to talk about how it relates to Trinidad. But we must tie it home to Trinidad.
All right.
Good evening. You are live with Marsha Walker on douglAR Radio.
Marsha and Corky and fire young lady.
Thank you.
And listen to me. Trump had his own lawyer called Roy Cohn. PNM have their Roy Cohn now. Listen to me. You see, everything you said here, let me put it into you as political sleeper cells.
Yes. One set of PNM sleeper cells. That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Oh, yes, I like that. A sleeper cell. I will explain that to you when you call her come.
Let me tell you where they are. Okay. Why you think all of them bourgeois PNM just walk hoity-toity with arrogance like nothing go happen if they tutu on us, if they misbehave in public office? Because they're confident that the people they have in all state institutions, judiciary, justice system, police service, they have the sleeper cells, and when they want them and they activate them, they tell them something coming down the pipeline.
Yes.
All right? Listen to how it started. You ever hear the song To Jam Jacob? Why you think he ended up as the chosen one? Because they didn't want the four on the Police Service Commission meritless.
They needed a puppet.
Is he a sleeper cell? Because it have lots of investigation right in front of his face. I can't say he's dumb, I can't say he's blind, and I can't say he's stupid. We've seen it right here. Let me tell you about
all
this
these
lady,
independents in PNM hide. All these PNM hiding in independent costume.
Right. Listen to this one. Why doesn't he go and squeeze Bliss?
Exactly. She must be questioned. She must be questioned.
Listen to what she did. Listen to what she did. The fact, and somebody had to ask the police service, the police service commissioner, with this new judge inside here, did Bliss Sipasad document in all the meetings she had with the Prime Minister? That's supposed to be inside here. If she's functioning as a, you understand? If she did not do that, it is a classical case of perverting the course of justice. Because she's supposed to say, I meet him 6 o'clock, he tell me to do this, and I tell him no. You remember I tell a fellow by the name of Ken Gordon? When the Prime Minister went and meet him 12 o'clock to drink coffee in the night, and Ken Gordon come one time and say, I document everything that man tell me? Right. So it's easy to hold she by your neck and say, come, let us discuss it and trap her with things. But, Mr. Jacob, I ain't seen that. Look, another thing Jacob do. Clarence say is a permanent secretary, and some people in Commissioner of State Lands. I hear you only arrest 2. So why are you waiting not to start investigating the permanent secretary? Another sleeper cell or what? Now, listen to this thing. You talk about this fella, the independent PNM Senator, Vera. What has happened to those judges in appeal court? How does the CJ, did he answer Ms. Prasad Visesa? She write him to say, because that must not go away. Because if the judges get into the political arena, they're not fit to be office. They must be terminated. And he should have gone, Vera should have gone right away if he made a lie on them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm saying, you're supposed to clean out, and you're supposed to clean out those two judges. The fact is...
Well, only citizens at this point could clean up. Only citizens, because the way that they have all these sleeper cells, and it's not sleeper cells again. It's not sleeper cells again. No, it's they activated now. They have been activated now. So now the only way is for us to go in there with our chopper, with our people. You know what is going? How this you have like the Delta team and all of that, and they jump in and you pull them out. You identify where they have the secret agents, and they say, right, you see, there's a cell there, there's a cell there, and they have a stealth. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, but do we have institutions would understand? We say, look, for example, you know why the police service, I believe, is rampant with sleeper cells inside and operatives. Every time they block in, look how much investigation the Prime Minister block in, right? Mm-hmm. As soon
and then by the time Kamala come, you know, all the evidence will be disappeared.
Right. As soon as they decided to disappear the evidence and move the case. As soon as those officers retire, where they go? They go for political screening. And let me call names.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Don't call name and get yourself in trouble and get me in trouble on the radio.
No. It's a one who said nothing for a lady who said nothing for yellow jerseys up in Sandy Grande. It's a one who was the head of the second division. You understand? Mm-hmm. He went up. It have a Calypsonian who was one of them. He went and sing. And it have now advisors. You remember one of them special advisors? Who was a special advisor, the one who do the investigation with FUL Barrington. Mm-hmm. Right? Actually, and then more importantly, you have a fella who lock up a set of UNC for voter pardon. They make him commissioner after that. And now we come back as an advisor to Fitzy. You know it have a footballer named Jones? What's his first name?
I don't know. I don't know. We have to go on a break. We have to go on a break. Thank you so much.
This term all over the place.
Yes.
People to know what a political sleeper cell.
Yes, a PNM sleeper cell. That's what it is.
Sleeper cell.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I'll Google it too.
I'll Google it for you already. I will bring it up when we come back from the break.
Yes. All right. Good.
Okay. Good night.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going on a break. When we come back, more fire.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. Something for everyone. 975 FM. Music for you. It's all about you.
New 97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air, they just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of T&T.
U975 Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio and Multicultural Television MCTV, bringing you back where you belong. Part of the Rhythms Communications Network. To advertise with us, call 218-7820.
Le Grand Coulon Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock. Bed and breakfast rates available. To book, call 283-2597 or 463-2946. Le Grand Coulon Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock.
This Friday, March 18th, the Afterwork Lime is at Roxbury Sports Bar, number 325, Southern Main Road, Cunupia. featuring Kelly Matthews, Pan Melodies. The action starts from 5 p.m. Carib and Stag, $10. Free cutters. The after-work line is at Roxbury Sports Bar, 325 Southern Main Road, Cunupia, with Kelly Matthews, Pan Melodies. This is a safe zone. All COVID-19 protocols in effect. Music by in-house DJ Blue.
Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3, Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica.
Opening hours.
Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Sundays, 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. When you think about fresh produce and good quality food, come to Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3, Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica.
Rupnarine's March Special now on. Purchase any kitchen or bathroom vanity and get your handles free as well as free installation. Yes, available for the entire month of March. Free handles, free installation. There is more good news at Rupnarine. We manufacture everything you need. Just let us know the size and color. We also do site visits nationwide. Visit us at Rupnarine Commercial Complex, Caroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or call us today at 665-7667 or 377-7667 for more details.
Eddie's Pharmacy Limited, we have a selection of all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs to complement your wellness. Every product we carry is vetted and approved by our pharmacists who will be happy to assist you. With branches at C3 Mall inside JTA Supermarket, 1135 SS Erin Road in Pinal, and 54 Rosha Douglas Road in Barrackpore. We offer services such as blood pressure testing, blood sugar testing, cholesterol testing, and also offer a wide variety of pregnancy test kits. We accept most major health insurances. For further information, contact Eddie's Pharmacy at any of our 3 branches. C3 Mall, contact number 228-4990, 54 Rosha Douglas Road in Barrackpore at 654-2655. Or SS Erin Road in Pinal, 647-0778, Eddie's Pharmacy Limited.
Come to the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. Great ambience, fantastic prices, all COVID protocols observed. Full premium bar available. Call Waves at 731-4646 to make your reservation. Come dine with the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. You must be vaccinated to dine in.
The Local Palooza Show and Countdown. Now showing on MCTV. Hosted by TNT's rock ambassador, Bees High Five, the metal merchant. See and hear all your favorite local rock bands. Keep it rock alive. Rhythms Communications Network. Local Palooza Show and Countdown on MCTV. The Local Palooza Show and Countdown. Now showing on MCTV.
Explain it. Because all we try to do is break it down.
Yeah.
Right. Are you back? Am I back?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yeah, so I can't say nothing. I can't say nothing.
8, yeah. You can
Yes,
talk.
I was explaining sleeper cell to Corky.
I never knew that was called
Yes.
sleeper cell.
Yes. So we have a set of PNM sleeper cell. PNM is play the long game. Have people inside so-called independent institutions. And that is a dangerous thing, Corky, because you see, I want to explain, Corky, now the voting, right? Let me explain something. Let me give you some numbers, but I'm not going to give it to you in the detail, right? Because I know you want the information to make sure that it reaches the boys on the block and the everyday person who has to vote.
Yes.
Right?
And, gathering this information and learning about this
makes you see things in a different way and makes you
Good.
get more wise that you wouldn't get in
Good.
trouble and
Good.
problems out there.
Good.
Because you're
Very
more
good.
educated.
Very good.
So why don't they want to educate the people?
Well,
in
we
these
well, you see, because knowledge is power. So PNM needs to make sure that we don't have the information. Because if we become knowledgeable, we become powerful. So that is why they want to make sure we do not have the knowledge. Right? Oh, I can't remember what we was talking about.
Yes.
Oh, the sleeper cell and thing, right?
Sleepers.
Yes, the sleeper cell. Corky, there's a people like to talk about, yeah, but you must have some kind of political affiliation, blah, 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 or else we will never find. Because when we spoke about Eugene Tier, Eugene Tier, I mean, nobody's saying he's not very qualified. He is very qualified in the energy industry. Okay, cool. But what we are saying is that in a population, and I'm going to use not 1.4, but I will use 1.1 million. Here the reason I'm using 1.1 million. Yeah. Here the reason I'm using that, right? 1.1 million would be an electorate. So that's like an adult population then. Right? So I'm going to count the children.
Okay.
You cannot tell me, Corky, that in a million people, we can't find truly independent professionals, right? Now, let me break this data down for you a little bit more.
Yes.
In the 2020 election, Corky, you had nearly 500,000 persons who didn't vote, 500,000 people who didn't vote. Right? Out of that, so you know now, you say, okay, well, about a 300,000 is PNM, a 300,000 is UNC, and a 400,000 are not that kind of super loyal person. So they will swing, they would want the information, and they may decide, look, I'm not fighting up with this politics thing at all, I go just stay home. Right?
Or maybe they might get something and they'll sorry that went on.
No, they didn't vote.
All right.
So these are the people who didn't vote.
Right.
Right? And in Trinidad, so even last election, it was like 68%, right? So you always have at least 300,000 persons who don't vote.
For sure.
Right? You are telling me, let me say 300,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I went and go even to a lower figure, 100,000.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say that you have 100,000 people inside of Trinidad and Tobago who are absolutely not concerned for party politics.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that you cannot find somebody inside of there to truly sit on your independent committees? So when people say to me, yeah, but we go run every good professional who want to serve the country. No, I refuse to believe that the only energy person we could find just happened to have been represented by Faris Al-Rawi and Stuart Young, not Faris, Stuart Young. And Stuart Young, I mean, this is not even a lawyer who is a PNM. In that case, it might have been Reggie. He was represented by Reggie or something. But he would have been represented by the direct line minister. Stuart is directly involved in the Paria incident. So it's not that we just opposing for opposing sake and looking for fault. These connections are too close. And I've just shown you how close these connections is be.
Right.
And when we say it, 5 years, because when we spoke about Reggie in 2015, when he called us out as the president of the Law Association, again, people would say at that point in time, we just being bacchanalists or we just being obstructionists. But it is because we have intelligence. I'm going to use the terms now.
Yeah.
We have the intelligence to see what is inside the sleeper cells.
Okay.
And we all know that when your Security Council and not council, I don't want to use the word council because Mr. Man like to use National Security Council badly. and think that that's some part of it makes him an investigator, whereas National Security Council is just a bunch of lawmakers and policymakers. It does not mean the Prime Minister have any kind of real control in police matters and anything like that. So I'm don't use the word council.
Right.
But you know, like the CIA and all these agencies and stuff would say, listen, we have intelligence, we have information. You could see that this person here is somebody that we ought to keep our eyes on. And those who don't have that information or aren't that way inclined will go, what nonsense. How you going to say that person, you know, is a terrorist or something? You know, how you going to do that? Right? So it's the same kind of thing.
Yes.
Kamla Prasad Bissessa, and I always say, you do not become the first Attorney General, the first Prime Minister, the kinds of things that that lady has accomplished. You don't get that without being absolutely, crazily genius. So when she warns us, it's because she has that. She knows it. She understands. She can see.
Yeah.
So when she calls out somebody as not being independent, it is because she could see the PNM sleeper cell.
Okay.
And had we plucked them out, we wouldn't be in this situation 7 years down the road, where the writing was on the wall that this man was not independent. He was a wolf in sheep clothing. He was PNM in independent clothing. And so when people come and say to us, so all they can, so when we say they're not independent, people like to come and say, oh, they're just nitpicking. No. In an electorate of 1.1 million people, where 475,000 persons did not vote, you cannot say to me, I mean, how much independent senators they have? Like, what, 5, 6, something? How much ever? Less than 10, right? You can't tell me that we cannot find 10 people who have absolutely no connection to PNM. Corky, you tell me, how does that sound to you? You're not involved in politics. If I have a mandate to say, right, I'm looking for 10 people who are not involved, who do not have any...
But you see, if you're not looking for that, you won't get it. They didn't want that.
Ah, you
I was
see?
looking for that.
Exactly, exactly. So they didn't find it because they didn't look.
You don't want it.
They didn't find it because they didn't look. And that's the bottom line.
And now that you tell me about the cell, I can
You
see now that
understand.
Mr. Gary Griffith wasn't a sleeper cell.
They thought they could have brought him in to do their bidding.
Oh.
You see, because he went to school with Farris, you know.
Oh.
He and Farris are good friends, so they must be safe. I see him take a call.
Yeah, okay. 218-7762.
Good evening, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Miss Fire Lady, you're back inside again, Corky.
What?
Let me expand the recruitment process for the sleeper cells operators. All right. Let me tell you. You know who they choose? They choose people with stature in the country. And let me give you some example. You know that a judge in the Integrity Commission, you say, even though it's not email, it's that credible and is the content. You remember that fella? He's a Sebastian Coe. You know Sebastian Coe? Athletic runner. But you get the drift.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it, but I suspect the press. Yeah. All right? She's a person of stature, a very, very good appeal court judge, but is the office of president is so served? A big question mark. If we have sleeper cells in the judiciary, we are down the road to hell because there was an investigation. There was a lot of things in the CJ and a man blocked it. He went and got another, what do you say, a Queen Council, something that was at variance with the Douglas Mendes Law Association investigation, but we never see it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
all of these things, and they use it to pelt mud, so it gives it a sense of credibility. And the sycophants and the fanatics will say, boy, but if the man say that,
yes,
it must, yeah, something right.
That is
and let me
very
give you a
true.
classic
That
example.
is very true.
Let me give you a classic example. You go, well, when you hear this one, you ever hear about that fella by the name of Mac Nichols? You ever hear about this, the Mustil Tribunal? You remember that one, right? Who was the counsel for that Mustil Tribunal?
Tell us.
Reginald? They use a man of stature, or he was used wittingly or unwittingly until he went in the box.
Yeah.
And you say he had nothing to give. They take him up to the Privy Council. They argue that the man something wrong. The Privy Council send it back
Listen,
to
I have something
Trinidad.
to talk about the Privy Council. As you say, Privy Council. You know, the same Attorney General, he is in favor of removing the Privy Council.
Okay. I'm glad you're going there. My own business. I am probably a good bush lawyer. And this is what I want to see happen. The only thing that should remove from the current judiciary system is elections appeal. Do like Guyana. Send it to the CCJ. Leave everything as well. Because we could have CPA cell inside it too. Because the judges you remember it had a president of the CCJ get a big brief to do something in Angostura. You remember a fella by the name of Bobin? You remember? They accuse him and he do willy-nilly decision. No, I'm not saying the current DTP is a sleeper cell. I'm not saying that at all. But I will tell you, when the Sachama thing happened, our current DTP who was sent to the ICJ come back as a judge now, a DPP, right? He had to recuse himself from the Sachama issue because he was entangled, but they elevated him to a judge. He went outside the country, sanitized himself, and he come back secretly as a judge. The person who's supposed to have replaced that DPP was a lady by the name of Carla Brown-Hintwine, and they veto her. You understand? They veto her. And her replacement now, since that point in time, is the current DPP. No. You remember the Clico report? There were things to answer. Coleman said,
there's so many
there
things
are
to
criminal
answer.
investigations. 7 years it's under the DPP, close to the toilet. Nothing happening. The DPP is balling for resources for investigation because plenty of people had to answer on both sides, on both sides. And they deliberately, the only person who jumped up and say he don't have to answer nothing was the former AG. The Prime Minister say he alone read it, but the one who gone as the Minister of CPF now said nah, he had nothing to answer. The Prime Minister put it there. I don't know if the DPP balling had enough to get resources to investigate, or he just fool anyway because he might be sleeping too, and just giving us a mouthpiece that he's trying to do something with the investigation. But when people misbehave in public office, they must account to the population. The two biggest fiasco in this.
Or even if they didn't misbehave, but if there is a question of it, you know, they must.
I like misbehavior.
Yeah.
But my thing is, this country has to know the two biggest fiasco that's caused us into this predicament with no revenue is the Petrotrin, the millions of dollars that the Prime Minister was a bad business deal, but he still bring back the fella to run the energy board, and then the Clico debacle. Those two things, we lose plenty money. What, 20, 30, 40 billion dollars from those bad issues? Think about it. Those two alone, how much money we invest in the Clico over a period of time? Some people say up to 20 billion, 15 billion, and then the other 15 billion in Petrotrin. That have we now? Right now we bankrupt, you know. We borrowing money to pay interest.
Really?
No. If you bring that in a household, that was a gripe me. In a household, if the breadwinner only borrowing money to pay interest on other money he borrow, then he had no money for education for his children. He had no money to buy food for his children. He had no money for medicine. Every time he see somebody, he say, Mr. Man, let me $10 now. You take that $10, he take 15 from it.
Yeah.
The pet now he borrow from and he continue doing it and he put in a little pittance.
Yes. All right.
Think about what happened in Trinidad. We mash up healthcare. We mash up education. What we mash up again? We mash up.
You mash up everything.
And then we go to Parliament, reappropriate the parent.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, caller. 218-7762. Oh. Good night. You are live with Marsha Walker.
Sir, which part in this country which is independent? Who does, when they make a budget, who does put the money there? When Mr. Gary Griffith asks for money, he say he can't get money. It's the taxpayers' money. We choose and hire these people to work for us. And we, the taxpayers, are getting all the punishment through our stupidity. There is no institution is independent because every taxpayer's money go there, from the judiciary to the police to the law association to any part is the government giving them money. And when you want money, who you have to go to? That little short Dwayne. And he could say when all corporation is taxpayers' money and they can't get it. You see, Marsha, nothing is independent in this country, Joe. Every hand is on a shoulder. And opposition and government, I can't understand them at all. You have so much information. Get a private detective and hunt these people down. It's taxpayers' money all to spend in.
Yes, but it doesn't work that way.
Night,
it doesn't work that way.
All right, yeah.
Yes, it doesn't work that way. So you get a private investigator, and the private investigator come up with all the facts. You still need the DPP. You still need the TTPS. We still have a process.
All right.
And that is the bottom line. The bottom line is Kamla Prasad-Bissessar could have all the evidence in the world. It's her. She have to get somebody else to have the evidence. You have to get Jacob to say, okay, yes, this is verified evidence. This is not Kamla make it up because, he has to say, yes, this is the file. I'm building the file. I'm handing over the file to the director of public prosecution. And he has to go, okay, right. We are bringing the case before, whatever.
Right.
It's not, Kamla cannot do that. Kamla cannot do that. And that's what people do not understand. Kamla cannot do that. It is not allowed for in law.
All right.
Right? This is not how it works. And that's why I started off explaining as well. UNC is not a person that can take Rowley to court. Right? It doesn't work that way. Kamla can't take Rowley to court. It doesn't work that way. So when people say, well, hire a private investigator, we don't need no more. We know. But we cannot do it. Right? Jacob have to go and question Bliss. We can't question Bliss. He has to do it. Jacob has to do it. The DPP has to do it. They are the ones to do it. And if they don't do it, then the only recourse we have is to call election and get them out. That's the only thing that we can do. Because we're bringing it to the public's attention. And there are cases before the court where we do fight as much as we can fight. And then when you fight, you'll hear Farris will say, oh, UNC costing taxpayers dollars because they have us in court and we had to appeal and all kind of thing, right? Yeah. So they twist it now and says UNC bringing a set of thing before the court that costing taxpayers dollars and wasting taxpayers money. So it's almost like damn if you do, damn if you don't, because when she does not come to court, they say, well, we ain't doing my job. When she takes them to court, when there is an issue that she can't carry before the courts, they will say, oh, well, look, she wasting time in court.
Yeah.
So what you want? Good night, you're live with Marsha Walker.
Good night, the Silver Fox in the house.
Hi, Silver Fox.
Hey, Corky, what going on?
Good, man, everything nice.
Yeah, I wasn't going on really talking, but when I hear these kind of fellas talking, these kind of thing about Camilla, this, Camilla, that.
Yeah.
right? It does get me kind of upset because the woman, she bringing out all the facts to them, right? And don't care what she telling them. Like we people, like stick breaking with ears, right? Yeah. And to me, I understand what's going on, but to me, like sentences like all them fellas at certain time in the night when all their program. Right? I don't understand if what's going on with them because like they're talking like they don't understand what they're saying. One time he talking camera, one time he talking PNM. This fella like he confused. Actually, sentence need to lock the gate a little tighter. Thank you.
Oh gosh. Let's be kind. Let's be kind. I want to talk now. Yeah. I'm gonna move away a little bit from Reggie. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the cabinet reshuffle a little bit, but not specifically the Attorney General, right?
Yes.
Just for 2 minutes and then we open back the phones again.
Yes.
Corky.
Yes.
I'm talking to you. Because I know when I talk to you, oh gosh, I see any calls. Let me take a call. Let me get a call in.
Someone wants to speak to you.
And then we given me 2 minutes to talk about the cabinet reshuffle. Good night, you are live.
And a very good evening to Marsha and Corky.
Hi, yes.
What I would like to see happen is that we have to have a brand new law. And this law, any party in power, in office, of course they have the right to rent private buildings and whatnot, like, or whether it's minister building or whatever, they do it. Mm-hmm. However, what I would like this law to state is that as soon as Parliament is dissolved, that lease must automatically end.
Right.
So as to avoid
one party coming in and being stuck. Right.
Or anybody rental for the next 10 years.
Yes.
And it goes both parties, any party, doesn't matter who. As soon as the Parliament is dissolved, the lease must come to an end. So to avoid this nonsense, this nepotism and this friend and family business, all the best.
All right.
Yes. Right. So, Corky.
Yes.
I just want to talk very quickly about the cabinet reshuffle. Mm-hmm. Well, we spoke about the new Attorney General, right?
Yes, we did.
Corky, I don't know if anybody paid attention to the fact that we now have 3 ministers inside of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay.
Now, I want to show you something, Corky.
Yes.
Keith Rowley is a director of Alma Farms.
Wow.
And I am wondering to myself if agriculture needs 3 ministers.
Yes.
Is it that he's paying a minister, he's using taxpayers' money basically to pay somebody to take care of his agricultural interests? I mean, let me show you something, Corky. Let me use some numbers to explain why 3 ministers, why, if you're not interested, you're not involved in politics, why that is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So Ministry of Finance is allocated some $6.5 billion out of the budget. That's how much they get to spend, right?
Right.
Right. They have 1 junior minister. So that's the senior minister and the junior minister is 2 ministers.
Right.
In a ministry that have $6.5 billion to spend, right? Ministry of National Security. I mean, that's a very important ministry. They have $2.2 billion and they only have 1 minister. Ministry of Education, $5.1 billion and they have 1 junior minister. So they have 2 ministers in total with a budget of $5.1 billion.
Right.
Ministry of Health, $5.4 billion, only 1 minister. Public Utilities, $2.5 billion, only 1 minister. Rural Development, $2.3 billion, only 1 minister. Social Development, which I mean at a time with COVID and everything is a massive industry, a massive ministry. Right. $5.2 billion and is only her alone. She don't have no 3 and 4 junior minister.
Okay.
Listen to how much agriculture gets. 0.7 billion. They don't even get 1 billion. They ain't even reached the billions yet. They're still in the millions, Corky.
Right.
So you've not put any money into agriculture. You've only given them $700 million. 0.7 billion, right? But they have 3 ministers. So these massive ministries that I just called, these billion-dollar ministries that I just called, many of them only have 1 minister. This small ministry, with such a short budget, have 3 ministers. How much? Now, for the next show, maybe I will go and dig up and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But how much money these ministers getting paid?
I don't know.
Right? I mean, between that, depending on who, well, some of them is a senator, one is a MP, and thing, and then you have your travels, and you have all your perks. Of
Yeah.
course, now they have their tax allowances with their cars and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, and I being real generous, because I sure is more like 40,000, right? But let's go with maybe 30,000. So 30 by 3 is what? $90,000. $90,000, Corky. Let me do some maths very quickly.
Yes.
I'm not good at math. 90 by 12. Oops.
Yes.
How much I tell you? 90,000. Right. Yes. Well, if it's so it's 30,000 by the 3 of them. So maybe $90,000 by 12.
All right.
You know, I don't know. Maybe their salaries. Maybe the salaries actually that might be wrong. Let me don't give misinformation. I don't like to give misinformation because maybe the salaries actually come out of administration or finance budget or something. So let me don't go down that road because I'm now saying, you know, is it that their salaries, and we'll have to find that out where their salaries go, if their salaries come from that budget itself.
Okay.
You know, because then I mean that's really crazy that you have $1 million in salaries when your budget, you know. So, but either way, I just cannot understand why you need 3 ministers inside of a ministry that has so little spending. And I mean, and farmers are complaining there's nothing really going on in Ministry of Agriculture, right?
Yeah.
And as I say, what I find a little bit too convenient is the Prime Minister's interest in agriculture. Private interest, that is. You know, so is it, is it that he has somebody in there or whatnot doing his bidding? You know, why do you need 3 ministers? I mean, I think the only ministry that has 3 ministers is the Office of the Prime Minister. Right? But I showing you national security, right? Ministry of Health, Ministry of Social Development. These people only have 1 minister. But agriculture have 3. I find, again, you know, when something don't feel good, it don't sit good with you, you know something gone there. And I just feel as though that we need a little eyes on that. And again, because they don't get nothing big, people may not necessarily, you know, drill into it now because they don't know sort of money to thief there. But I have a problem with it because at the end of the day, farmers are not being served well, and we have 3 ministers in there. Our import bill is ridiculous. We have no kind of program for us to really be self-sufficient when it comes to food, putting food on the tables. We have 3 ministers in that. And if it is that there's some kind of bubble and corruption going on in there, I would hate to see that is at the expense of our farmers, at the expense of food, right? And as I say, I just find the first thing I looked at was, why do they have 3 ministers in such a small ministry? That don't add up. And when you know, Kamala like to say the math's not mathsing. When the math's not mathsing, we need to dig a little further and ask that does seem right. It definitely does seem right. And I want to know what's the relationship. I mean, when we look at it, are we going to see that Avinash somehow linked to Alma? You know, what are we going to see? What are we going to find if I started to really dig into these things now? So that was something that, you know, I just throw in out there. That's why I say I just needed 2 minutes. Because it's really just something that I want, you know, like Anna and them now, you know, them go, Them go dig into it and they go find the information for me. Huh? I seen somebody actually say, but now I had to go and look for it. So I don't know if it's true. So I'm going to say allegedly. But I am actually told that Reginald, I seen it on the chat here. These girls and them have the information, you know. That Reginald was actually the lawyer in the whole land date scandal with Rowley too. Boy, if that's the case, then them going real far back. Real far back. I want to take a few minutes now, Corky, before I see we coming close to 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock reach fast today, boy.
Captain Kendall is already here to take over the show.
Oh, wow, right. Before we go, you know, I had a big up Madigo Martin West.
Right.
And, you know, it's congratulations. So every student that won a scholarship.
Yes.
But I do have somebody from Digo Martin that won a scholarship. So, you know, I had to give special shout out to Jafari Chase. Right? Actually, he is the son of our alderman. And his mom sits on our executive as well. Right? So he's the son of a UNC too, you know. But I mean, it's not a party thing. It's a country thing. It's a constituency thing. He's from Digo Martin. And so actually I think today is his birthday as well.
Okay.
So happy birthday, Jafari. And congratulations from all of us at UNC. We are very proud of you. He was the only person from Queen's Royal College to have gotten a scholarship. And he is our very own Digo Martin, son of the soil, Digo Martin, Jafari Chase.
Yes.
So I know the Prime Minister ain't gonna tell you that, so let me tell you from the real MP of Digo Martin. Congratulations, Jafari. So that was that. I just wanted to take some time to get, to congratulate Jafari. What also, Corky, let me see what question. You know what I didn't do? I should have make sure I have the telephone number. Let me find the telephone number. But what some people call, so like we have, you know, in Digo Martin, we actually have a lot of businessmen, right?
Yeah.
Corky, we seeing, I feel this camera. I'm now noticing it. Then what is that black thing you're seeing there?
Which one? Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
That's the sponge thing there.
Ah, you see the camera. So the camera might need it to turn or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. So you get more U97 something. Maybe we should have turned it. I'm now noticing it as you have up the laptop.
If we go this way too much, you will come out and you will get the logo.
Right.
Because if you went that way, well then you would be in the frame over there.
Oh, so you want me to come more?
Of course.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Tell me, right?
Yeah.
But then I can't see you. I like to see a screen. Right, let me find this number so I can make sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mightn't. Let's see. No, that's not the number that I'm looking for.
All right.
Hold on, let me see. No, that's not the number that I'm looking for.
What's number?
Our virtual right. Okay. So 3995561.
Right.
Right? 3995561. That's our Digo Martin West office number, right?
Right.
Because what we find happening is we have a lot of business people in the community, in the Digo Martin community. Right. And they would call and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody, you know, the spa we opening and we look, you know anybody who looking for a job. Or someone might call and say, I'm looking for somebody to babysit, especially when schools, you know, a lot of people are taking, instead of going into school, they would rather have like a tutor come home or whatever, you know. So we have people who might say, you know, any tilemen, you know, any masons or whatever. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is build a database, right? I mean, we're not in government, so I can't give nobody no 10-day work or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I would still I would really like to see our community go past that anyway. But what we could do is match resources now. So we may have a really good fabricator who is looking for a job, and then we would actually have a big contractor in the community who is looking for a fabricator.
Yes.
So it ain't making no sense that one looking for a job, one looking for a fabricator, but the two of them not connected. So what we want to do is build a database, and it's almost like a virtual community board of sorts. Yeah. So, you know, if you're a fabricator, you're a mason, you know, a babysitter, esthetician, whatever it is, you know, whatever your skill set is, you could send us a message, you know, WhatsApp, Right? So it's free. We ain't expecting nobody in this guava season, but this is a real government, eh? I mean, just have us suffering. You can send a WhatsApp to 399-5561. Right? You could send, just like your name and what your qualifications are, or, what you're looking for.
Yes.
If you want, you could, I know like resumes and stuff could come through WhatsApp, but if not, we'll give you the email address and whatever. But you could just start the conversation on WhatsApp that,
Yes.
Marsha Walker, fabricator, whatever,
Yes.
what it is that or it may be that you are looking for somebody. So there's an employment opportunity.
All right.
Right? So we can start to put people, because employment is a real problem right now.
Wow.
But then on the flip side, you actually hear where some business people are saying that they're looking for. They're not looking in a massive way because things are tight.
Yeah.
But they appreciate that, one, they would actually like to give the young men the opportunity in the community versus saying, okay, well, they're going south. What's the point? Especially, let's say you're looking for somebody to come home to do gardening. You ain't going to call a south gardener when you have somebody who's really skilled in Diego Martin right there.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is really create that community where we could share our resources among ourselves and start to find a way to be independent of this government and make we own money and make things happen. Right? So, you're not a join no UNC party card, nothing, even PNM party card holders are welcome, right? Because I know, and that's up to y'all if y'all want to go back and vote for PNM, but I know things are hard and we have to find ways. So, we're talking about whether we're doing, like little up markets or artisan markets. So on a Sunday, we bring, the moms and they who have the bread to sell and whatever.
Yes.
Right? So that those who can afford, they can come out and they can support those, buy your homemade bread instead of going to the grocery and whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe we could even see how we could maybe even, depending on, you get them into the grocery, you get some of their products and whatever. So we want to start to really help out our tradesmen, our artisans and stuff like that. Help them really earn an income independent of the government.
That's great.
So we encourage everyone, join our database of skills, 399-5561. Send us a WhatsApp. We will need to, of course, ensure that you are registered in the constituency because, while we want to help the whole country, I am the coordinator for Diego Martin West.
Okay.
And I have to start small, and work making sure my constituency is working. Right? So once you are a constituent of Diego Martin West, 399-5561, send us your information and let's see how we could help those who have job opportunities available or those who can. We have a lot of businessmen. So they may be willing to, is it seed money? Is it mentorship? Do you just need that help to start off your business? Some of the young men have car washes or want to have car washes. They have their ideas. I know one mom, we helped her with her hot dog stand and whatnot. Some people just need that little starter. I have a mom who bakes some amazing bread. So for Christmas, and we ordered, when we were doing the hampers, we had ordered 100 loaves of bread for her, from her. So whole day, she was just like a bread making machine. So things like that, right? When someone might be doing a corporate luncheon or whatever, I would be able to put them in touch with those who have certain skill sets. So we really want to bring everyone together and see how we can really get this community working. Because if we wait on Keith Rowley to come into our community, we will dead of starvation, we will go nowhere, and we can't wait. We can't wait anymore, right? So join our database. as I say, you don't have to join UNC to join the database, right? Once you're a member of Digo Martin West, 399-5561. Of course, you could use that number if it is a pothole. The amount of people that send information with potholes and whatnot. We had an issue with garbage, and I know the councillors is getting mad at me, and that is all right. They get mad because I loud them up. But the thing about it is, if I don't loud all they up, they don't do it. They don't do their work. They come and they say, well, the backhoe ain't working, so that's why the garbage left. But when they realize, wait, Marsha getting wind of it, I told them, I said, well, I will get a backhoe. If the corporation does not have backhoes working, I will get a backhoe and lend to the corporation to get it done. Come and work with me. But you know, Keith Rowley must be done. Tell them, under no circumstance are you to work with Marsha Walker. Right? So, gosh, I'm hearing the telephone number calling. Right? So I just want to remind people, it is 399-5561. Send a WhatsApp, please. Right? And don't call the number at 9 p.m. in the night.
That's in the night. What time can I call you?
Well, 8 to 4, you know, but it really is meant to be, you know, any phone call should be, you know, you should set an appointment for it unless it's absolutely urgent, right? Because we want to operate just like an office, right? You know, we want to serve, but we want to do it in an orderly manner. So unless it's an emergency, let's book the appointment and whatnot through the office and whatnot. But the WhatsApp is there. You can send a WhatsApp message 3 a.m. if that's the time that you have to send a message. Right? So it's 399-5561. That's the telephone number. Join our database. So anytime we have hampers or anything that we have going on in the constituency as well, we would be able to send it out to our database.
6 minutes.
Right? And I see we have a call, so let me take that call. Good night. You are live. Hello.
Hi. I'm listening to you, and I find you very impressive. But what I do know is there's a lot of wrongdoings by the T&M.
There's a lot of, what is that?
Wrongdoings.
Oh, wrongdoings. Okay.
But, they are well established for like 60 years in Trinidad and Tobago. So they'll be very difficult for the UNC to win an election in Trinidad. This is my opinion, because there's something called gerrymandering, and they have done that successfully for 60 years. Now, how do you win the seat that Manning represented for 30 years or something like that? How could you win that seat? How could you win Point? How could you win La Brea? These seats are locked in by Rowley. This is why he's sure he's going to win the election again. Because these seats are covered by the PNM. You cannot win them. Because the people, you could preach Paul, these people are going to still vote PNM in these areas. Like
well, the data doesn't suggest that, huh? The data doesn't suggest that. So I'm going to respect your minutes on your phone, and I'll talk about the data after you hang up.
Okay, so I do not know what suggestion could I make or contribute to see this guy, go in peace. It will be three consecutive terms, which will make him 15 years in power.
Well, what we're going to do is correct the misinformation. And that's the first step. The first step is to empower us. So you see, when you feel as though they've been there for 60 years and there's nothing we can do to make them win the seat, that is another PNM lie that's told over and over and over. And so a lot of people feel as though, well, what is the point of me coming out to vote because the PNM base is so big, right? Let me remind you of the numbers that I quoted earlier on in the show. 475,000 persons did not vote.
Right.
Whereas 322,000 persons voted for the PNM.
Right.
So you are seeing that the number of people that did not vote was far more than the people who voted for PNM.
So then we need people to come out and vote.
Yes. And what
Come
you see from PNM, that is why they try to what is called voter suppressing.
Yes.
So they make you feel as though your vote doesn't matter. Nothing you do matters. We are going to come back in power because our PNM supporters are so big, our base is so big that your vote don't matter now.
Yes.
So when your vote don't matter, then you're going to say, well, it's just my small vote. And you see that happen in Diego Martin a lot. People that speak to me will come and say, but Marsha, it didn't matter if I come and vote or not, you could never win because that base boy, you had to get rid of that base. And them go never vote for anything but PNM.
Yes.
And that is the psychological warfare that PNM plays, making you feel that your vote does not matter.
Yeah.
So let me remind the electorate again. 475,000 persons did not vote.
Right.
322,000 people voted for the PNM. Right? That is more than 100,000 people more.
Yes.
Right? That is so what we need is for people to come out to vote.
That's right. And
do not believe
come
that
out.
your vote does not matter. This is not, and yes, I talk about I grew up in PNM country,
what about
right?
if we come out and call a fresh stand up for
Well,
a fresh
I say
election?
that already. I want to see 100,000 people in Woodford Square, right? But a lot of people feel, you see, because PNM has something called learned hopelessness. So they make, and that is the trait of an abuser. They make you feel as though you cannot do better. So that you're stuck with this. So it didn't matter to have an election because, right. And that's the thing. But people are saying, well, it don't matter if we have a next election because if you call an election, PNM base could still come out and vote. So what is the point? The point is, even if the PNM base stays with Rowley, even if, listen to me, Trinidad and Tobago, even if the PNM base are PNM till they're dead and they vote for Rowley, the non-voting population is still more. The non-voting population who are fed up of Rowley come out and vote him out. Come out and say enough is enough. And that goes for Diego Martin West. He cannot be a prime minister if he is not first an MP. And Keith Christopher Rowley does not win with a majority. Right? Time has run out. I was going to give the numbers of in terms of constituencies. So we'll talk about that next week. Dinesh Rambali got the highest number of votes. And it's not UNC. In any constituency, he won by the highest number of votes. Followed by Dr. Munilal, followed by Kamla Prasad Bisessa. Keith Christopher Rowley was somewhere down like 12th on the line, for number of votes. So when people think that he have this great amount of support and whatever, he does not. The data, the facts, the data says he does not. Come out and vote. Your vote matters. Do not let PNM twist and lie to suppress your vote. It has been great. I've gone over 1 minute again. Fire Fridays. See you next week.
Captain Kendall is up next.
Fire Friday.
Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday. Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, I'm back. Thank God it is Friday. Thank God it is Friday, Friday. Thank God it is Friday.
Fire Friday. Fire Friday.
Friday, mash up the place. Friday, in front of face. Friday, red, white and black. Friday, I'm back. Friday, 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 Friday,
Friday.
Thank God it is Friday.